White. Wide open Torrence! Oh, baby! Touchdown! How do you leave the best receiver in the NAIA that wide open?
You show, and that's what we do! Cat!
You're proud of me?
And it's caught! Oh my goodness! Troy Torrence comes down with it!
Welcome all to Bankroll Blitz here on Pub Sports Radio. Happy New Year to all of you. We have made it to week 18. Troy, we're both coming off good weeks, but a good week is par for the course for your excellent season. You are now 2.48 units away from being up 50 units here on the show. In our industry, when you see people up 50, 60 units, it's because they have 5-unit best bets and things of that nature. This is a 47.58 units on single unit bets. Troy, extremely impressive, man. Extremely impressive. Coming off 14-8 plus 7.15 unit week, you had back-to-back weeks of double-digit units. You are seeing the board so clearly right now. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing awesome, man. It's a great new year, great season, holidays with the family. Really hoping we can find some spots together here on the board. I'm hoping everyone's in chat because there's a lot of work to do. I still feel like there's so many things that we have to uncover, maybe some insights to be had on this week specifically. It's hard to gauge at this point in the week exactly what's going on. So looking forward to talking it out. I really do feel like I've been operating with an edge, and I feel like it's getting bigger and bigger, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, as you should be. Great to see the cappers in the chat. Mac Beavers, Jay's Final Take, Gerald Jones, Terry Walker, Leonard Welch. Great to see all of you guys. And you're right, we have a ton of work to do. Now, I track everything I do, everything anybody does on my shows. I just track. And I have not really succeeded on the final week of the regular season. I was better last year. I had a good year last year. But 3 years ago, I had a horror show on the final week of the year. And so I've tried to keep my quantity of action low. Last week, I came in with 3 bets. The overs in Arizona, Philadelphia, first half and full game. The first half was actually a bit of a sweat, but the full game was the best bet, I believe, on the board from an X's and O's standpoint. And I had the Packers plus 2.5, so 3-0. I come in with 3 bets again. 3 bets again. And 2 of them are totals in the Arizona Cardinals game, which I think, again, are the best bets on the board. The market didn't go with me in Arizona, Philadelphia, and it was so easy. The market's not gone with me at this point. I haven't looked in the last 6 or 7 hours in the Arizona-Seattle game, but I just find it extremely easy. And I rarely say that about totals or about betting in general. Scott Young, ready to get to work. There's Harold Williams, Nutflush Allen, Jim W. Putt. Great to see all of you guys. Let's do a quick review of what happened last week. I went 8-4 plus 3.48 units. While you have been the star of our show, I have not. 8-4 plus 3.48 units. I'm 100 and 103, 49.3% down, 13.75 units, ROI minus 6.77%, average line minus 110. I have a simple goal, just to be in the black by the end of the year. So just take it week by week here. I cashed with the Arizona Philadelphia first half over, full game over, Packers plus 2.5. I lost on New England Buffalo under 41. If Olszewski doesn't run that back, it's a push. It is what it is. Bears minus 3. The market went heavy against us, and it was an easy casher. Colts minus 3 was a push. Miami, Baltimore under 47 was an atrocity. Texans minus 3.5 was very easy. Seahawks minus 3 was a loss. Chiefs minus 7 and the Cincinnati KC under 46 both cashed. And I was probably fortunate that the Bengals were shut out in the second half. Packers team total over 21.5. I almost doubled down on that team total because it went against me too. That was down to 20.5, but I didn't. And then Panthers plus 4 was a loss. So 8-4 with a push plus 3.48 units. You had a great week, 14-8 plus 7.15 units. Why don't you give us a quick review of what happened, and then we'll get to work.
Yeah, so I was heavily invested in the Browns multiple ways, as I like to. So I know you talked about the 1 unit per game. I mean, I guess I'm kind of riding a fine line there in the gray area because I do have how many bets here? 7 bets on the Browns from last week. I had -7. I had double result. Browns minus 13.5 on an alt spread at plus 200. Those all three cashed. I had two teasers, one with the Rams and one with the Packers. They both cashed. Browns, then I had two money line parlays, Browns and Colts, Browns and Bears. Both of them cashed. Move on to the Lions. That was my cash cow database play of the week. Went from 6 to under the hard line of 6. I think that's very important line movement. So I had it at plus 6, plus 4.5, and the money line. The Lions did not get it done on the money line, but they covered the spreads. I also had Gibbs rushing prop, which I feel like I was a little bit unfortunate to not have cash, but it didn't work out. Colts minus 3, that pushed. That was a little bit painful. Colts money line, Jonathan Taylor, touchdown SGP, that cashed at plus 135. The Colts minus 3.5, one of my last additions, did not cash. Obviously, I hit by the hook there. I had Rams double result. That was a winner. Pretty fortunate, or I guess depending on how you look at it, with the 92-yard touchdown punt return. Had the Rams minus 6. That did not cash. Had the over in the Eagles and Cards, thanks to Jimmy the Bag. It was a beautiful look. I had faith in it right away. I wish I had invested heavier in the first half as well. I lost with the Panthers. Jimmy, if that's my fault, we don't point fingers here. We don't point fingers. I lost with a lot of my late additions. Had the Panthers plus 4. That was a loser. Had an SGP Chiefs, and Travis Kelce. That was a loser. I had Chargers plus 3.5. All of those were late additions, and they all were losers. I had Kelce at 70 plus, which I crushed the line. I could have sold my ticket for $5 profit. And obviously it came nowhere close. That was a loser. And another play that you directed my attention to right away last week was the Packers at plus 2.5. It closed below the key number. People were probably pointing their fingers, laughing at one of my posts. As I went heavy on the Packers towards the end of the week, as the leading up to game time, we talked about the market, caught a little bit of wind for that. Talking about, wow, you're rushing to the window to get a worse line, under the 2.5. And that's exactly what I did. And it cashed very easily. It was a beautiful thing.
Very easily. Very easily. Incredible work. Your last 3 weeks have been spectacular. But you have a goal. We have a goal for you. 50 units in the regular season. Never been done by anybody on my show. And in fact, with single unit betting, it's never been done on any sport by anybody in my 6-year career of doing this publicly. So now, we'll wait through the playoffs, of course. But great work. Let's keep it going. Great to see all of you guys here. RVD 420, Brian Stovall, Stimmy OG, Nick, Jedi for Life, Sammy Calmer, Slatsy. Let's get to work. This is a tricky week, and we've got a lot of work to do. We start Saturday, January 6th. 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Pittsburgh Steelers at Baltimore Ravens. Steelers 9-7, 4-3 on the road. Ravens 13-3, 6-2 at home at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. 40 Fahrenheit rain and snow. 13 mile per hour winds. It's going to get a little bit warmer as the day goes on. And so the snow was supposed to turn into rain at this point. So let's roll into the line history here. From a spread perspective, we are sitting here with these Ravens as 4-point dogs. They opened up as 2.5-point dogs, and it's moved to 4. That 4 is juiced to minus 115. So we have a 1.5 move towards the Pittsburgh Steelers. From a total perspective, we are sitting here. Pinnacle's moved it to 36, and I moved on it. I moved on this. I took, and I didn't get the best line I could have got. People out there did a better job than me, but I got the under 37. I think that 37 was important to get, in case of the 2017 final scores. This is now at 36. This opened at 38.5 at Pinnacle. So I've only made 3 bets on today's card, and I would love it. I'm going to do whatever I can to have single digit units. I can't have double digit units in action on the final week of the season. There's just too much volatility. But I have moved on this total, and then I've doubled up on the Seattle, Arizona overs. But here I am on the under 37 in this one. Taking a look at the cash flow here, you have 85% of the tickets and 96% of the cash on the Ravens. It's funny to say that out loud with the 1.5 move towards the Steelers. It's very interesting. And then from a total standpoint, 67% of tickets and 98% cash on the under. That also makes me very uncomfortable. Slatsy says, shouldn't this be the Ravens' second stringers? Oh, yes, most definitely. But let's start with the situation. Ravens have clinched the number 1 overall seed in the first round bye. They have nothing to play for here. They're coming off their 6th straight win, 56-19 at home over Miami. They have a quick turnaround for the second week in a row. And that's not as big of a deal because they're going to go deep into their roster here for this one. But the last 3 wins have been simply spectacular. Beat the Jaguars, 49ers, and Dolphins, 2 of those games on the road, and outscored those 3, 112-45. Lamar Jackson cemented his MVP status by going 18-21 for 321 yards, 5 touchdowns with a perfect passer rating. On the season, he's completed 67.2% of his passes for 3,678 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's also rushed for 821 yards and 5 touchdowns. First quarterback in NFL history to rush for 800 yards 3 times. Tyler Huntley is expected to get the start here. He's seen extensive action in the second half of the last 2 seasons in place of an injured Jackson. He's only thrown 9 passes this year. 2 went for touchdowns. He's a dual threat. He's 3-5 in his career as a starter. He's seen snaps in 19 career games. He's completed 65.6% of his passes for 1,811 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's also run for 469 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's fumbled 4 times, but he's only lost 1 of those. He won't have the same weapons that Jackson would have, as several starters will be rested. Who we know will be rested at this point, Marlon Humphrey, cornerback. He has a calf issue. He's not going to be playing. Michael Pierce, nose tackle, and Darryl Worley are both in concussion protocol. They won't be playing. Kyle Hamilton, their second-year star safety, who's been spectacular, he won't be playing. Kevin Zeitler, the third-year starting, their guard, won't be playing. Either will Brandon Stevens, third-year starting quarterback. Who else do we expect not to be in it? We don't. Odell Beckham Jr. Won't be playing. We're going to keep getting the announcements throughout the week who will be playing. But all of the pressure here is on Pittsburgh, and the Ravens get to play with house money, with a backup quarterback whom they love. And they're a dangerous spot. I don't know what to make of all this money and tickets on the Ravens as the line moves towards the Steelers. The Steelers must win and get help to make the playoffs. They need to win and have the Bills or the Jaguars lose. And they have one route in if they lose. So if they lose, they would need the Jaguars and the Raiders to lose. But this is a must-win, all-hands-on-deck spot for the Steelers. They're coming off their second straight win, 30-23 the Seahawks. Mason Rudolph has started both wins. His career record now 6-4-1 as a starter. He has been announced as the starter. Kenny Pickett medically cleared to return after that tightrope surgery on his ankle. He had another strong, clean performance, and that's the clean part of it is what Tomlin is in love with. 18-24 for 274 yards, no touchdowns, but no picks. In the 2 games that Rudolph has started, the Steelers' offense has averaged 32 points and 432.5 yards of offense per game. They put up 468 in the victory this past week. George Pickens got 7 for 131. Najee Harris was a bulldog. It was like old times. He ran 27 times for 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Warren ran 13 for 75 and a touchdown, caught 4 passes for 23 yards. They held onto the ball for 37 minutes and 33 seconds. And they were just 3 of 7 in the red zone, which prevented them from breaking the game open. You can imagine with Rudolph at quarterback that their red zone numbers are going to be poor. You can expect it, and I expect that here. That's part of the reason why I'm on the under. I don't think Tomlin is going to feel like he needs to take many risks to beat a Ravens team that's full of backups, even though I do believe they will be tough to beat. The pass rush only had 1 sack. They did get 9 quarterback hits. I've been saying this pass rush is pedestrian for a long time. They did hold the Seahawks to just 3 of 9 on third down. They're 22nd in the NFL on third down defensively. They allow opponents to convert 39.6% of opportunities. The Seahawks were 2 of 3 in the red zone. They've been very good in the red zone all year. That's the only real spot on any statistical analysis that you can find where the Steelers have been really good this year. Defensively in the red zone. That's it. 47% of red zone drives, they allow touchdowns. So Minkah Fitzpatrick, the star safety, another safety, Trenton Thompson, and inside linebacker, Elandon Roberts. All are going to return to practice in some capacity this week. And Fitzpatrick and Thompson missed the last 2 games. Roberts, missed week 17. And TJ Watt suffered an undisclosed injury. Tomlin said he's going to be monitoring him this week and that he said should be available for the game. We all expect him to be available for the game. I'm on the under, and really that's all I want. If anything, Troy, after hearing your analysis and sitting here and watching it for 4 or 5 days, maybe we come back. I might have some interest in the Ravens if this gets too high. But right now I'm comfortable with the under. And you had some alarming stats for what's happened when the public has been on a total. And with 98% of the cash, that's not gone well for the public on week 18 over the last couple of years. And you can touch on all of that throughout the show. Take it away, though, Troy, on your journey to 50-plus units. Take it away. Our first game on the board, Saturday, January 6th, Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
Yeah, to be honest, you kind of made me nervous with the action that I do have in this game, the way you talked about the game, and then you finished it, brought back a little bit of confidence. So I think we might be having a little bit of the same sentiment in this game. But the general sentiment of this game is nobody's going to be playing. Everyone's a backup, must-win spot for the Steelers. You see it, the inflation every single year. And it's hard to argue that this is inflation at this point, because how could the Steelers, in my opinion, laying this many points on the road is a death sentence for this team. And here's the thing about the Ravens that I find interesting is they have 2 weeks off. And when you rest for 2 weeks and your starters don't play for 2 consecutive weeks, you start getting some cobwebs. You get a little rusty. I don't think that they want that to be the case. I expect the starters to play a decent amount of snaps. I know we're not going to have all the starters, definitely not the superstars, but we're going to have enough talent on the field to keep this game close, in my opinion. And it would be great to look at the cumulative handle on the splits, because if you look at the money line, must-win spot for the Steelers. They don't want to lay 4. They're hammering the money line on the Steelers and the spread on the Ravens. So it's a very interesting spot. And last week, the Steelers-Seahawks game, I remember last Tuesday, I was leaning heavily towards Seahawks. I came on the show, talked about I did not trust the Seahawks, but I wanted the Seahawks in that spot. But after watching that game, watching the offensive line dominate the Seahawks, and we'll get to the Seahawks later, and to your action specifically, I think it's another good look. I just want to talk it out. But the offensive line was getting pushed. Mason Rudolph, this guy's been incredible. He had 0 turnover-worthy plays last week, a 9-yard ADOT. That's pretty freaking impressive. And for Baltimore, I mean, just to talk about, I know we're not going to have a lot of these players on the field. Are Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith playing? They are. Yeah, I thought they were. I actually thought that I thought I had read something about some of these other players being in, but you announced them out. So I didn't know about Queen and Roquan. But we talked about these guys last week against the RPO. This team is going to be a problem for teams like the 49ers, the Dolphins that run RPO, because these linebackers are so damn good against the run and in coverage. They really don't miss their assignments very often. And for that linebacker, it changes the game if they were to be out of this game. And I would not like my action. However, the defense is so fluid. You see this defense change and morph week over week, adjusting to whatever offense of scheme they have in front of them for that week. They don't play man. They don't play zone. They play defense according to the offense. And I think in this case, it's time for Mason Rudolph to take a step back in a hostile environment. And I expect this game to go under 2. Even more reason to take Baltimore. This is a divisional rival. They do have revenge from earlier in the season as well, where I was on the Steelers in that game. Felt lucky to cash that game. And the Steelers, in my opinion, are probably at the peak of the market with Mason Rudolph as their quarterback. Tomlin is a road favorite of 3 or more past 10 years. Is 30% ATS. If the total is less than 44, he is 0% ATS. I just think Monken could do enough offensively to keep this game close. So I'm on the 3.5. Excuse me, I forgot to mention my action. I took Baltimore plus 3.5. I could already see people in the comment section once they post this individual video hammering me, telling me that the Steelers are going to win this game, which they might do that. But covering the spread, I'm going to take Baltimore.
Muted, Jim.
Sorry, thank you very much. I love that you are on Baltimore. I don't love that you bet it on Tuesday, because we know that. What do you make of this? Ridiculous amount of ticket, like 85% of the tickets, 96% of cash on Baltimore. I mean, I can understand that it will be sharp action here, but it's all this money on Baltimore, and now we have 4s on the board. What do you make of those numbers?
I think, like we talked about, and I actually was on the wrong side of this last week with the Chargers and with the who was the other team, the Panthers, because of the quarterback announcements, the injuries, people being announced out of the game as DMPs. The line moves because of that. So it's hard to quantify what's going on in this market. But I will say that home dogs at 3 or more, with the market moving away from them, but all the cash on them, for 24 and 13 ATS. I can put this up on my Twitter real quick too, so you can go check it out. And people think that the big spreads with these low totals are the advantage play by taking the dog. It's really not. It's actually when you're a dog of less than 6 is when it's an advantage play on a low total.
I like it. I like it. I'm curious to see. Do you think that you're going to move on the under at some point? Do you want more time with it, or do you feel like it's dropping too quickly?
I feel like it dropped so quickly, and that's actually I probably bought the Ravens a bit too early. I seen the line move from 4 to 3.5, and I was like, you know what? I'll settle for 3.5. Probably not the best way to do it because we might close at 4 in this game. But I do have the total in mind because all the database is saying this game's going under, and in division, even at a higher rate.
Interesting. Well, I'm interested in the Ravens. I kind of like this spot for them. At home in somewhat difficult weather conditions, with all of the pressure on Pittsburgh, and they can just go out there and have some fun and hurt a rival. I don't think that they win the game outright, but you don't have to in this situation. So I'm not going to. I want to see what I can possibly get right now.
Could probably. I would say that 4 is going to come back and be a much cleaner number. I wish I had waited for the 4, and at this point, I definitely would wait for the 4.
Well, I'm surprised that they're not 4s everywhere. For some reason, I thought that would happen. So this got to 4. This was at 4 all last night. It was at 4 at what is this bet on at Bookmaker, excuse me, and then at Bet Online, this got to 4 again. This was at 4 on New Year's Eve. It was on at 4 all of New Year's Day until 8 this morning. So maybe we won't see the 4th anymore. Interesting. Maybe I played this wrong a little bit. But I think it's a good sign that the 4s went back to 3.5 for you. I think it's a really good sign that the books are showing a
buyback.
Yeah. So I think that so we'll see. I'll be keeping an eye on this. I'm certainly not going to move on this, for 72 hours or so. Kind of want to see how everything bangs out. But I'm on the under 37 here.
And we know Huntley. He likes to win games 17-14, lose games 17-13. He keeps those games close. It's just I just feel like it's such a good spot. And if it was, I wish I could be more invested in this slate. But this is one game where I think, and actually you probably have already heard people in the market are talking about this at will. That these teams that need to win to get in are really never covering spreads. Not covering spreads. So I think there's a lot of ways you could look at Baltimore being the right side here.
I like it. I'm on the under. Troy is on Baltimore. I have a lot of interest in Baltimore, but I'm curious to see where this goes and what the market does with it. Let's move on to Saturday night action, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Houston Texans 9-7, 3-4 on the road at the Indianapolis Colts, 9-7, 4-4 at home. We're at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. This is a big one. These two games on Saturday are going to be a lot of fun, helping us figure out what needs to happen on Sunday. First off, these Colts right now are minus it's +1 at most books. The spread doesn't give the right information. I think that the money line will. So the Colts right now are at +107. On New Year's Eve at 8:12 p.m. when this line came out, they were -115. It's a big move towards the Texans. A big move towards them. Let's get into the total here for this spot. This total is sitting right now at 47. There's 47.5 at almost all the books. It is sort of a 47.5. It's not quite, I guess. This move to there's been 6 cents of movement from over 47 at -107 now to over 47 at -113. But all day this was over 47 at -118. We've had 5 cents of buyback about 15 minutes ago, which is very interesting. So maybe this does come down to 47s across the board. Let's get into the cash flow for this game 2 on Saturday. On the money line, 63% of the tickets and 97% of the cash is on the Houston Texans, and the market is moving in their direction. From a total scenario, 64% of the tickets and 82% of the cash is on the over, and yet we've had this buyback here. Nick says he loves the Colts in this spot. And Nutflush says, make sure you look at Minshew's home and road numbers here. And Brady says this game has to be an over. Houston, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville all won Sunday. So we have 3 teams with identical records here, and it keeps everybody in contention. So the winner of this game will win the AFC South if the Jaguars lose to the Titans on Sunday. The loser will be eliminated. The road team has won 5 straight games in this series. The Texans come in off an easy 26-3 home victory over the Titans. CJ Stroud returned after missing 2 games with a concussion. 24-32, 213 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Nico Collins caught 7 for 80. Devin Singletary ran 16 times for 80 yards. The Texans were just 3 of 11 on third down. They haven't been very good on third down all year. They're 19th in the league, converting third downs 37.9% of the time. They were just 1 of 3 in the red zone. They're pretty mediocre there as well. 17th in the league in red zone offense, scoring touchdowns 52.9% of the time. Their defense was excellent. They held the Titans to just 187 yards of offense. A third overall pick, Will Anderson, returned to the pass rush after missing 2 games with an ankle injury. He looked very good. His 6th and 7th sacks of the year. They sacked Levis and Tannehill 6 times. They hit them 12 times. The dominant Texans D held the Titans to 1 of 12 on third down. Houston's now 9th in third down defense, allowing opponents to convert 37% of the time. Over the last 3 games, and 2 of those without Stroud, they showed their hand. They were the 2nd best third down defense in the entire league, allowing opponents to convert at 27.9% of the time. So, they don't have their star quarterback. And because of that, their defense stepped up. That's what they're capable of doing here. The Titans were just 0-1 in the red zone. Houston's just 20th in red zone defense, allowing opponents to score 54.9% of the time. Laramie Tunsil hurt his groin in the second quarter. We're going to get updates throughout the week. He's listed as questionable. Noah Brown hurt his hip in the second quarter. Robert Woods left in the fourth quarter with a hip injury as well. So they're both listed as questionable and should be closely watched here if you want to back the Texans, and I'm interested in them. Colts come in off a 23-20 victory at home over the Raiders. They've won 3 straight at home. Minshew 15-23 for 224 yards, a touchdown, no picks. Michael Pittman returned from injury. He caught 5 passes for 46 yards. He now has caught 104 receptions on the year. It's a career high for him. Jonathan Taylor ran 21 times for 96 yards and touchdown. The Colts were 6 of 13 on third down. They're 22nd offensively on third down, converting 36.7% of the time. These are 2 offenses that are poor in third down. And so I do not think this game flies over at this point. Now Birdie really interested in the over makes me want to think about it, but in a playoff type situation where these 2 offenses aren't great converting third downs, I don't know why the score would be high. Neither team's good in the red zone. These Colts they went 1-3 last week. They're 18th in the league in red zone offense. So you have 2 bottom 10 third down offenses. You have 2 middling red zone offenses. And then you have strong defenses. The Raiders had 10 more first downs than the Colts and lost. The Raiders were 5 of 15 on third down. The Colts defense is 8th in the league, allowing opponents to convert just 37% of third downs. The Colts are 16th in the league, allowing opponents to score touchdowns on 54% of red zone drives. Now, right tackle Braden Smith is back, but I don't think he's 100% when you watch him, but he's back, and it's important. Zach Moss and Kenny Moore inactive and unclear whether they play here this week. Here we go. The first huge game on the slate for playoff implications, Texans, Colts. Take it away, Troy.
I can't wait to watch this game. I was so heavy on these Colts last week and made some money. Feel like I should have swept, but, so be it. The one thing that sticks in my head in this spot as I'm looking at this game, the first thing when I seen this game on the board that I remembered is how Stroud looked at home against this Colts defense in his second game of his season. This is where he gained confidence. Go back and watch film on that game. Watch his poise in the pocket. Watch him deliver the football field from sideline to sideline, over the middle. It just sticks out to me because, we actually seen Aiden O'Connell do that last week in the 2-minute drill at the end of the game. He just drove right down the field. And I know that you're getting a little bit of a shell defense in some cases, but at the same time, it's an exploitable defense, this Colts team in general. You want to fade the Texans when they're going up against elite defenses. At least that's what I've been doing, and I've been cashing while doing it. I've had this Texans team picked right in all but one matchup this year, and I trust D'Amico Ryans to have a plan against this RPO offense that Steichen brought over to Indianapolis. It killed him in week 2, and I think Cashman being back in the lineup is a huge part of stopping the RPO. With Cashman in the lineup, you could run the 4-3 against 11 personnel, which changes the game completely. This is a very good unit against the run, which I think is going to force Stroud to pass on way more downs. And the Texans just have been great in coverage, in the pass rush, against the run, up and down the board. The Texans pass rush and just their defense in general. The run defense after week 8 on PFF was ranked 28th in the NFL. Now they're down to 14th. In every single category, it's very similar progression climbing up the ladder for this Texans defensive units. And now they're top 5 in pressure rate. And we know Gardner Minshew, I've touched on these stats a couple of times, under pressure is the second worst PFF grade amongst QBs with 50% of their team snaps. So all these qualifying QBs, Gardner Minshew is the second worst. I mean, he's right there in line with the worst quarterbacks. You name them, the Jones brothers, freaking Bailey Zappi, whoever you want to talk about. He's right there with them under pressure. And I think that they're going to be able to get pressure, especially being able to run 4-3 against this team. And I trust Slowick offensively to create a game plan to take advantage of this Colts weak secondary. They got revenge. Both these teams have motivational factors, right? But I think the Texans actually have a bit of a boost. The narrative is actually stronger in favor of the Texans with DeMeco Ryans. It's a more marketable playoff team. And the market is just perfect. This opened at -1, and that immediately suggests weakness. It's short. The number's short as a home team. And this is a spot I'd like to attack all season. This is also where the market has been extremely efficient, meaning that the market move is very telling. Home teams that open between 1 and 2, and the market moves towards the road team. The road team is 11-6 ATS, 12-6 straight up. And the more money on that road team cashes at a higher rate. 70% plus, we're talking about 10-4 straight up. That just, I'm checking all the boxes here. I moved on Texans at my money line -104 for 2 units, and I'm considering looking for more.
Yeah, I think that all makes sense here.
Except I didn't want to fade Steichen. I mean, that was the hardest part that I had to get over in this game. But I feel like I have good reason to believe that the Texans will be the right side.
It's a lot of food for thought. I don't think that we want to wait too long, or we'll have to start taking points here. If you want to stick with that Texans money line, you probably need to move this evening. Yeah. I think the line move is telling, and who's the best player on the field, and he's the quarterback on the Texans, and this is where it all comes to fruition in games like this. It leads me to want to have him. If this is a game that goes down to the final score, I want Stroud. I want Stroud after watching for 2 weeks. I want Stroud after a very comfortable, easy victory, just to get the cobwebs out after missing 2 games. I think I join you. I think I join you tonight. I guess I can stay off the total here. I do feel like the market moving towards the over. It doesn't really make sense to me, but I'll be happy here to stay off of it, I guess. I'm certainly not going to bet the over. If I see a sign with all this money on the over that it comes back to the under, I will bet the under. And Birdie says, yeah, can't underestimate Steichen here. So there we go. Troy has moved on the Texans. I'm interested in tailing him on that. That is our Saturday action and breakdowns. Let's move on to Sunday, January 7th, 1 p.m. Eastern. We have the Cleveland Browns, 11-5, 3-4 on the road. Cincinnati Bengals, 8-8, 5-3 at home. Paycor Stadium, Cincinnati, Ohio. 38 Fahrenheit, light rain, 7 miles per hour. This is one of those games where things get pretty tricky here. The Browns have clinched a playoff berth. The number 5 seed can't be changed. So they're going to prepare for their wild card game against the AFC South champion, whether that's Jacksonville, Indianapolis, or Houston. We're not sure. And this is only the Browns' second trip to the playoffs since 2002. Both have come under Stefanski, who looks like he could and will win his second NFL Coach of the Year award. The Browns coming off extra rest after that impressive 37-20 victory at home over the Jets, but now have nothing to play for and no reason to push anybody out onto the field. Let's get into the line history here. This spread, we'll move over to spread. So I got money line up. Spread sitting here with Cincinnati is 5.5 point favorites. This opened as 4-point favorites. It went 4.5. Now it's 5.5. It's 6s everywhere else. This isn't a true 5.5. It's minus 123 towards the Bengals. This total is sitting at 39. This is juiced to the minus 120. This opened up at 40 and dropped to 39. There was a big move towards the under this evening, early evening, about an hour and a half ago. There was a 12-cent move towards the under over at Pinnacle. So a big move there. Al Cervic jumped on Steph 3 weeks ago at plus 1,200. Wow, that's a nice spot. That's a very nice spot. Nasty Nate says Browns smash, and Troy Torrence says Browning has something to play for. That is true. And it's possible that Jeff Driscoll is at quarterback. They signed him up Arizona's practice squad on Friday. I think it will be PJ Walker, but if it is Driscoll, and I'm sure Driscoll is going to get some run out there, then Driscoll has something to play for. Elijah Moore, who had the concussion, he stayed in the hospital overnight. This is continuing to make progress. I don't know what that means. They're hoping he's available for round 1 of the playoffs. Amari Cooper also, he's dealing with the heel injury. He won't be in the lineup this weekend. And a win at Cincinnati would give the Browns 12 regular season wins for just second time in franchise history. Last time came in 1986, but nobody really cares about that. They just care about being healthy, moving on to the big wildcard round. Bengals coming off a 25-17 loss in Kansas City that officially eliminated them from the playoffs. Browning 19 of 33 for 197 yards and a touchdown. He also ran 7 times for 32 yards and a touchdown. Jamar Chase returned from injury to catch 3 passes for 41 yards. I'm not sure if he'll be in the lineup this week. Joe Mixon ran 21 times for 65 yards. Bengals were 8 of 16 on third down. They're 18th in the league on third down, converting 38.4% of third down opportunities. The interesting thing about the Browning-led Bengals is they're much better on third down than the Burrow-led Bengals. But that's the only thing they're better at. In the last 3 games, they're the 5th best team in the league on third down. They're converting 47.6% of chances. But with Burrow, you have the big play capabilities. With Browning struggles in the red zone, but that's the one spot where he has succeeded. They were 2 of 4 in the red zone. They're 13th in the league in red zone trips, 56.3%. But over the last 3 games with Browning at quarterback, they're 28th, just cashing 36.4% of those. Pass rush had 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, held the Chiefs to 3 of 12 on third down. They're 26th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 42.1% of third down opportunities. They held the Chiefs to 1 of 3 in the red zone. Their red zone defense being strong all year. It's about the only strong part of their defense. T. Higgins left in the second quarter with a hamstring injury. He's not going to play this week. Why wouldn't I bet an under? I really don't want to have too much action on this final week, but now breaking this down, I don't see how there would be points other than a low intensity situation. And if it is low intensity, then why would I want to be involved? But I just don't see where the big plays are going to come from. Take it away for us here, Troy. Browns, Bengals, Paycor Stadium.
The problem with the under, and I alluded to this last week with this Browns team, is Van Pelt wants to throw the ball. Even when DTR was at quarterback, they were passing on 65% of downs. So I would expect nothing to change, and that kind of leads me to an over 2. Thinking that, especially with the Browns, you're going to get some turnovers and give some turnovers. Quick field splits could easily produce points. And the clock stopping every time there's incomplete pass or there's chunk plays. I just don't want to. I'm just like you. I do not want to be involved in a total. But I bet this Browns team all but 3 weeks this season. And it's really, really hard for me not to want to go back to the well. But how can I formulate a strategy? How can I appropriately price this game or have any type of edge against the bookies in this case? There's just no damn chance. So I want nothing to do in this game. I will not have any money down.
29% of the tickets, 30 and 43% of the cash is on the Bengals. 71% of the tickets and 85% of the cash is on the under. I find the under appealing here, but again, in a non-intensity game.
I mean, I would expect the Browns be able to stop the run. I mean, they've done that all season. I know, what are we going to get out of the Browns defense? Who are we going to get? I don't know, man. It's just like I feel like there's going to be so much more passes above expectation that the total's too low in Browns games every week at this point.
Yeah, I hear that. Also says Bengals or nothing. I don't feel a side appealing here on this one. And these situations, where we have one quarterback that we can count on and one where we can't, where you think it's sort of a slam dunk, have not fallen that way for me. I feel like Bengals win this by 3 and the books make a shitload of money. At this point, though, I do find the under somewhat appealing. I'm comfortable staying off of this one here. And Brady says, pay attention to third and fourth quarters in games where one team in the playoffs is a team that is not. All right, let's move on to the next spot on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. The Minnesota Vikings, 7-9, 5-3 on the road. Detroit Lions, 11-5, 5-2 at home. Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. I tried to hammer home fading the Vikings as much as I possibly could last week, and it was the easiest bet on the board. And I imagine it will set us up for the Bears this week. I know that you've already moved on the Bears, and I haven't, but I almost did even before I saw that you were on them. When I saw that you were on them, I thought let's sit back and hear your thoughts before I do anything. Vikings, Lions here. The spread right now are the Lions -3, -106. This opened at 4.5 and it moved to 5.5. This was a 5.5 point spread, at basically a pick 'em at midnight. So in the last 8 hours, there's been a huge move towards the Vikings. I don't know why it would have gone to 5.5 anyways. It doesn't really make sense to me. From a total perspective, this is sitting at 46. It opened up at 44.5. We've moved 1.5 points up to 46. From a cash flow standpoint here, we have 81% of the tickets and 82% of the cash in the line moving towards the Vikings. Then we have 80% of the tickets on the over. We have no information on the cash flow. There's only 2,700 tickets accounted for. The Vikings still have an outside shot at making the playoffs. They have to win here. They have to have the Packers lose to the Bears. Then they have to have the Seahawks lose to the Cardinals. And so those two things are somewhat possible. And either the Saints lose to the Falcons or the Bucs lose to the Panthers. So they need one of those to happen as well. So it's a lot of things would have to come together. They're coming off that ugly 33-10 loss at home to the Packers. They were annihilated. They were outgained 470 to 211. The Packers had 28 first downs compared to the Vikings 13. Jaren Hall started, and he did not look like an NFL quarterback. He was 5 of 10 for 67 yards and a pick. He lost a fumble. He was pulled at halftime. Mullins came in 13 and 22 for 113 yards and a touchdown. Mullins is expected to get the start here. Justin Jefferson caught 5 passes for 59 yards. Ty Chandler ran 10 times for 40 and caught 3 for 24. Vikings were just 3 of 10 on third down and 1 of 3 in the red zone. I hammered the DJ Wanham done for the season with a torn quad out there. He was the whole reason for me that Danielle Hunter exploded in the second half when I didn't think he would. Without Wanham, you can double Danielle. They finished with no sacks and 3 quarterback hits. The defense let the Packers go 9 of 14 on third down, and they're no stranger to being terrible on third down, the Vikings. They were even worse than normal with the injuries, but they're 28th in the league on third down defense. They allow opponents to convert 42.6% of opportunities. Over the last 3 games, they're the worst third down defense in the entire league. They're allowing opponents to convert 53.9% of the time. They held the Panthers to 2 of 4 in the red zone. They've been pretty good in red zone defense, 11th in the league. Right guard Ed Ingram is dealing with a shoulder injury. Quarterback Byron Murphy didn't play for the second straight game. I'm not sure if they push him to come back here for this one. And here we go with the Lions. The Lions have the same record as both the Cowboys and Eagles, but would lose tiebreakers to both. That means to get that second seed, the Lions would not only have to beat the Vikings on Sunday, but they would also need both the Eagles and the Cowboys to lose. The Eagles and Cowboys are playing the Giants and Commanders in their respective season-ending matchups, so it's far not much of a chance of that happening. The chances of the Lions remaining the number 3 seed are the most likely. And I don't want to get too much into what happened, but it's a problem. The Lions having Brad Allen make a mistake, not admit it. If Brad Allen would just admit the mistake, which at least I haven't looked in the last 8 hours, but he hadn't as of yesterday, I would suspend him for not admitting that he made a mistake. Because you're putting, with the legalization of sports gambling across North America, you're putting a lot in jeopardy here and people's love of the sport. I think Brad Allen is just a bad example of a human being just not admitting that he made a mistake. I don't understand. You can make mistakes, man. It's not, I don't know why he has to pretend that this didn't happen. But that's a different conversation. It was his fault, though. We've all seen the video of Decker reporting in. It was just a mistake. It was a a mistake by Brad Allen. He should suffer the consequences. That doesn't mean not being able to coach in the playoffs. That means being suspended for at least half of next year. Maybe that's a little too harsh, but Jared Goff was 19-30, and I had no skin in the game. I had no cash in the game. I just mean as a football fan, somebody has to take accountability for that. Jared Goff was 19-34 for 271 yards, touchdown, 2 interceptions. Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 6 passes for 9 yards and a touchdown. Sammy Laporta caught 7 for 84. Montgomery ran 14 times for 65 yards. The Lions were just 4 of 13 on third down. Detroit's 7th in the league on third down, converting 42.8% of opportunities. They were 2 of 4 in the red zone. They're 6th in the league in the red zone, scoring touchdowns on 63.3% of red zone drives. This is a very good offense. They're the best red zone team in the league over the past 3 weeks, scoring touchdowns on 80% of red zone drives. Aiden Hutchinson was a monster on the pass rush. No one else was doing anything. Hutchinson finished with 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. The rest of the team had no sacks and 2 quarterback hits. Malifonwu continued his strong play with another pick. But the Cowboys were 7 of 14 on third down. These are the Achilles heel of the Detroit Lions. They're 19th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 38.6% third downs, and they're a horrific red zone defense. They've been weak all year long, bottom 5 in the league all year long. They allow opponents to score 67.3% of red zone drives. Take it away here for us, Troy. A move towards the Lions, which was confusing, then a huge move back towards the Vikings. What are your thoughts here? Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan, Vikings, Lions.
When I seen that line movement, it basically turned me off this game completely. I know Campbell said earlier in the week at some point, he said that starters are playing, but this market definitely suggests otherwise. So I'm not exactly sure what to believe, and it makes it really hard and unappealing to bet. And I've been so profitable in the NFC North this season. I thought I would be betting this game in some way, shape, or form, but I don't know if I could do it. And O'Connell, I think it's funny. Last week, he got a little too cocky for his own abilities, started Jaron Hall. I think that's a completely uncalled for move based on what we've seen. Who gave him the best chance to win? It wasn't Jaron Hall. I do not want to be on a side or a total in this game based on just how the market has moved. I smell a little bit of mob shit going on maybe. And I think what they're talking about in chat is actually more important to talk about right now. Slatsy and Birdie, they're talking about looking at first half or first quarter, betting by the quarter at this point in the year. And that's because of motivational factors, right? You don't want to let the guys, you would let your team come out early. Maybe it's the first quarter bet. Maybe it's teams come out early. I think there's a lot to that. And I wish I had broken that down more. And that's actually something I did consider, betting the Ravens in the first half, but there was no lines available. But I think that's definitely something to look into this week, is looking at the derivative bets in the by quarter.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different angles and ways to find an advantage. And the crux is that you need to track everything that you're doing and see if that is a legitimate advantage, but I can understand breaking it down that quickly. But I mean, for me, I don't know why you'd have to get ahead of a situation when live betting can be, so profitable with the plan intact without actually moving pregame, but knowing exactly how you plan on doing it. And if you have that in multiple games, there's going to be some games that fall perfectly into the position that you want to move on it. But I hear you. And in this game, I don't see how the Vikings have a chance here unless Detroit doesn't care and doesn't try. And Dan Campbell, I just don't see him not caring and not trying. But this move back to the Vikings is interesting, and I don't feel the need to really get involved here. I hammered home that Vikings must be faded last week. I do not think they're a good football team. I don't like the decisions that have been made around the quarterback position. It's just very drastic decisions, very extreme calls, and it's blowing up in their face. But here, I just don't know if the Lions are going to try. They seem very locked into this third seed. But when have you seen Dan Campbell not put everything into a game? And he can still do that without using too many starters for too long here. But this would be a spot where the Lions could pull everybody at halftime in a kind of situation. So I can understand staying off. And that is the plan right now, is to stay off of this spot. But I'm going to sit with it for longer. And I don't want the bias of how easy it was fading the Vikings last week to get too involved in in this week. Okay, let's move on. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern, Jacksonville Jaguars 9-7, 5-2 on the road at Tennessee Titans 5-11, 4-4 home. Nissan Stadium, Nashville, Tennessee, 46 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 13 miles per hour. We have these Jags here. They're 4.5 at Pinnacle, and it's not even that juiced. It was. I was sort of waiting for this to happen. I'm in a different groups on X, and one of them I saw Dennis Garcia replying, when have the Titans lost by more than a field goal at home? And they've only lost once all year, and that was to the Ravens by that number. And there was an 11-cent buyback about an hour and a half ago on the Titans. They're plus 4.5 at plus 103, moved to minus 106. I know that's only 9 cents in that direction, but the Jacksonville Jaguars went from minus 121 at minus 4.5 to minus 110 at minus 4.5. So I wonder if the other books will follow suit, as right now we're sitting here with 5.5s across the board and Pinnacle with almost the legit 4.5. Spenny Pennybomb is on Tennessee here. Nick says he loves the Titans here. And Birdie says about that Lions Viking spot that was laid up perfectly. Lions first quarter, second quarter, Vikings third, fourth, and second half. Yeah, I'm going to sit with that a little longer, Birdie, but I get it.
Yeah.
So here, let's go. From a cash flow perspective, in this one, you have 63% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on the Titans, and the line's moving towards the Jaguars. So that brings us right back to that Ravens game on Saturday night. Right now, we have 96% of the cash on the Ravens, and this line's quickly moving towards the Steelers. The same thing is happening here. It's week 18 madness. From a total scenario, 44% of the tickets and 50% of the cash is on the over here. Gerald Jones says the Titans O-line is the worst in the NFL. Let's start with the Jags here. They win the AFC South with a victory here in Nashville. And if they lose to the Titans, they can also get in the playoffs if the Steelers lose, the Broncos lose, and the Texans, Colts don't tie, which is very possible here. That's very feasible. The Jags coming off an easy 26-0 victory at home over the Panthers, snapped a 4-game losing streak. They outgained the Panthers 317 to 124. With Trevor Lawrence missing the first game of his career, CJ Beathard went 17-24 for 178 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. No announcement has been made as of yet. There's a belief that Lawrence will be back for this all-important game, but there was a belief that he would play in Week 17. His shoulder is improving. They say he's day-to-day, which means that you expect him in the lineup, but a shoulder injury is tricky. So we'll see how that bangs out. Evan Ingram led receivers with 6 catches for 60 yards, 8th tight end in NFL history to catch at least 100 passes in the regular season. Travis Etienne, 16 carries for 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is such a sad sack franchise that they haven't had anybody with 10 rushing touchdowns since Maurice Jones-Drew in 2009. The Jags were 7-16 on third down, 1-5 in the red zone under Beathard. We don't need to go over those stats really, because I'm not sold 100% that Trevor Lawrence is going to be under center. This is I expected him to be under center last week, and when that sort of thing happens, I'm not jumping to the point that he's going to be in, but everybody expects him in at this point. The defense was very strong. They held the Panthers to just 124 yards and 7 first downs. Pass rush looked strong against the Titans. Sorry, the pass rush looked strong against a weak Panthers offensive line. They finished with 6 sacks and 8 quarterback hits. Josh Allen set the franchise record for single season sacks, 16.5 to pass Calais Campbell, who had 14.5. Allen now has 44 sacks. That's 11 shy of the franchise record. Panthers were just 1 of 13 on third down. The Jaguars defense is now 5th in the league, allowing opponents to convert just 35.6% of third downs. The Panthers did not get into the red zone. Jaguars are 14th there, red zone defense. Jamal Agnew injured his left ankle at the end of the 48-yard catch. Turns out it's a lower leg fracture. He's done for the season. Now, Christian Kirk can have his 21-day practice window open on Wednesday. So we'll see if that happens. He could return for this finale, and he's needed. He's needed right now. The Titans' sorry season comes to an end here. They have the opportunity to play spoiler, but missing so many regulars, it sort of feels like they've thrown in the towel. Will Levis went down with a foot injury early in the 26-3 loss to the Texans. Doesn't sound like it's too bad of injury, but I do not expect the Titans to throw him out there. So that would mean Tannehill would be back at quarterback. And, as has been mentioned, in the chat, by Gerald Jones. This offensive line is horrific. The Texans had 6 sacks, 12 quarterback hits. Titans only had 187 yards of offense. Tannehill was 16-20 for 168 yards, but Derrick Henry just seems like a shadow of his former self. 12 carries, 42 yards. Hopkins had 7 catches for 72 yards, but they were 1 of 11 on third down. They've been bad there all year long. 28th in the league, converting 32.3% of third downs. They were 0 for 1 in the red zone. They're third worst in the league red zone offense. The defense tried to keep them in it, but couldn't do enough. Pass rush just had 1 sack and 2 quarterback hits, but they held the Texans 3 of 11 on third down. Despite all the injuries the Titans have faced, their third down D has been strong all year, 12th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 37.3% third down opportunities. And for some unbelievable, I can't explain it fully, this is the best red zone defense in the league. They allow opponents to score on just 37.9% of red zone drives. Now they lose, everything fell apart with the offensive line even further when Daniel Brunskill left in the first half. He's got an ankle injury. This is a very, very interesting spot here. Take it away, Troy. Jaguars, Titans. Do the Jaguars win the AFC South?
I think that one of these two teams, between the Bucs and the Jags that are playing for their divisions, are going to lose. And to your point, Titans have only lost 1 game at home by more than 3 points. It was actually against the Bengals. They lost to Baltimore by 8, but that was in Germany.
Good call.
But yeah, I don't know exactly what we're going to get out of this Titans team, but I'm definitely interested in the Titans playing for absolutely nothing to continue fading the Jags, which has been a profitable proposition for me. And I was waiting for this number to inflate. It got up to the 5. I grabbed it at 5. I took an alt line. It was at 5.5. I took a +5 at +100. And I'm just playing the market. Home dogs between 4 and 6, catching the sharp action, 15-6 ATS. And if the spread moves towards the favorite, right, towards the road team in this case, 7-2 ATS, I just think it's a spot where I want to get behind Vrabel and the Titans. I think that they're going to play for their coach. I think they kind of know that this is his last hurrah. For a couple of those guys who've been there for years, they want to send it out on a good note. I don't feel like they're going to lay down. And I think that they keep the game close. This Jags team is not to be trusted.
I agree. I just don't know if I have the balls to do this, but I agree. Do you think Trevor Lawrence will be under center, and how does that change your thoughts on the game?
I'm with you. I don't think he'll be under center. I feel like I actually feel like there might be trouble in paradise a little bit, and I think the injury that he's playing through, it might have caused a little bit of that friction between the front office, the coach, and the quarterback. So I actually don't expect to see him under center. I think we're going to get Beathard.
Very interesting. I'm going to need more time to sit with this spot, but Troy has moved on the Titans. Ian Shaber says the Jags will fold. Harold Williams says, don't like this Jags team, but don't trust Tennessee either. He's going to pass. Ian Shaber says he wanted the Jags, but he is off. And North Ender says Titans and Vrabel are the type to embrace the role of spoiler. Yeah, I agree. North Ender leaning towards the Titans. Birdie says some things here. Jags ended Titan season last year. Vrabel dropping F-bombs in the presser. Clear attempt to motivate this week. Vrabel wants this win. He has no doubt. Says Titans plus the point seems good to him. Very, very interesting. I guess you guys have definitely piqued my interest on the Titans after the horrific performance last week. I mean, we can imagine that the public is going to be, all over the Jags. It just simply hasn't happened yet. But 36% of the tickets and 8% of the cash. I think that big 11-cent move, or whatever it was, I believe it was 11 cents move an hour and a half ago towards the Titans is a good sign. And, Pinnacle having the 4.5 when everybody has the 5.5 is interesting. So it's Titans or nothing for me. Troy's moved on the Titans +5. What was the juice you got on the +5?
+100.
+100. Even money on the 5. That's nice. All right, let's roll on. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern, New York Jets 6-10, 2-5 on the road. New England Patriots 4-12, 1-7 at home. Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, Massachusetts. 36 Fahrenheit, snow, 15-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history for this one. Start with the spread. We're sitting here with the Patriots as 2.5-point favorites. They open up as 1.5-point favorites. 1 point move towards them. From a total scenario, we are sitting here at 30.5 juice to the over. This opened up at 34 on New Year's Eve at 8:14 p.m. On January 1st at 9 in the morning, it moved to 32.5. At noon, it moved to 31.5. And then still on New Year's Day at 1 p.m., it moved to 30.5, which is where it's been. 30.5. Unbelievable. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this spot. We have 50-50 on the ticket count, 4,534 tickets in, but we have 92% of the cash on the Patriots, 72% of tickets, and 97% of cash on the under. Jets come in off extra rest after losing 37-20 at Cleveland on Thursday night. Simeon, 32 of 45 for 261 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I know Troy will talk about this ludicrousness of the Jets throwing 50 passes a game. It really, really makes no sense whatsoever. I can't comprehend what Hackett could possibly be thinking. Breece Hall ran 13 times for 84 yards, caught 9 for 42 and a touchdown. Garrett Wilson caught 5 for 50. They were 6 of 16 on third down. They've been the worst third down team in the league all year long, converting 26.4% third downs. They were 0 for 1 in the red zone. They've been by far the worst red zone team. I mean, it's pretty amazing. They scored touchdowns on 34.3% of red zone drives. That's 9% worse than the 31st place team so they're 9% worse than the next worst team. It's unbelievable. The defense looked awful. Browns put up 34 points at halftime. By halftime, season high in points. New York allowed and yards, 428. Pass rush did nothing. It's been non-existent of late. 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit. Browns were 5 of 10 on third down. Jets are 20th in league on third down, allowing opponents to convert on 39% of third down opportunities. 3 of 5 in the red zone. That red zone defense is pretty strong. They're 7th in the league, allowing opponents to score touchdowns 50% of the time. But it feels like the Jets have given up. And over the last 3 games, this strong red zone defense is 27th in the league, allowing opponents to score 64.3% of time. Lazard was sick. He was inactive. I don't think he wants to be out there. Then another guard goes down. Jacob Hansen is in concussion protocol. So he gets replaced by Xavier Newman, who was helped off the field in the fourth quarter. We're going to find out exactly what's going on with Newman. Feels like this team is giving up. And it doesn't feel like the Patriots are giving up. They're coming off a 27-21 loss at Buffalo. They outgained the Bills 294-281. Zappe was 16 of 26 for 209 yards, 3 interceptions. He also ran 5 times for 37 yards and a touchdown, but he was so horrible to start the game off. He 3 interceptions in the first 6 possessions, 3 interceptions, 2 first downs. Kevin Harris had 2 carries for 15 yards, caught 2 for 54. Zeke was 14 carries for 39 yards and touchdown. Patriots are 4 of 10 on third down. Their third down offense, 30th in the league, 31.7% of the time. But this red zone offense continues to deliver. I can't explain that. They were 2 of 2 in the game. They're 11th in the league. They scored touchdowns on 60% of red zone drives. The defense was strong. I mean, they held the Bills to just 281 yards of offense. The Bills are the best third down team in the league. They went 7 of 15 on third down. This Patriots third down defense has been good all year. They're 13th in the league. They allow opponents to convert 37.4% of the time. The Pats held the Bills to just 2 of 5 in the red zone. This is a phenomenal Bills red zone offense. The Patriots red zone defense is 6th in the league. They allow opponents to score just 48% of the time. They didn't get a ton of pressure on Allen, 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. I didn't realize I was moving in this direction, but after saying all this out loud, I guess Nick says Pats -2.5 looks too easy. I don't know if it does. I don't think anybody thinks the Patriots who are 1-7-0. It's interesting that you say that because this wasn't really a spot that I wanted to bet, but after saying it out loud, I certainly do. Let's hear what Troy has to say about this one. Take it away, Troy. Jets, Patriots, Gillette Stadium.
I kind of agree with that with Nick. To me, the 2.5 is so short. This one stuck out right away to me. Pats laid 2.5 on the road earlier in the season. They won and covered. They dominate this series, and now they're laying 2.5 at home. After Jets getting their doors blown off 2 games in a row, the Patriots have been super competitive. All this action on the Patriots currently, and the line hasn't ticked up to 3. Actually, I think it might have actually ticked back down towards the Jets a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that was in my notes, so I might have seen that earlier. But and the crazy part to me is the Patriots dominate this matchup. And I think the line functionality in this spot has given me the answer to the test. I really do. And without knowing organizational intention, the exact motivation in this spot, it's really hard to bet. But one thing I want to bet against is Saleh and Hackett making the right decision and losing this game for their organization. So if that's what they're supposed to do, that's definitely not what they're going to do. I think they're going to I think that they're going to get out-tanked in this case. I don't think they could do anything right. And I think Belichick loses this last game in Foxborough in accordance with their fans' desires. I'm on the Jets. Right now I have them in a teaser. I really am very interested in the Jets on the side. I think that the line alone, this is purely a play on the market. I do expect they keep the game close, especially in a game with this low of a total. And, I like the Jets in this spot.
Wow, interesting.
And here's the crazy why, because I'm kind of anticipating this market where the line opens and closes at 2.5. I touched on it throughout the season. It's a 9-3 ATS trend for the road team, and it's undefeated when you have all this cash on one side and it's not taken up to the 3.
Wow, interesting. I certainly won't move on it tonight, and I'll see if it gets to that 3. Wow. What did you get the Jets at?
I have a teaser right now with the Bears. So I have an unconventional non-Wong teaser with the Bears +3 and the Jets +8.5. Or
Wow.
Bears +9, that would make it. Sorry. A little out of it right now.
Wow, very, very, very interesting. Harry says, is the sound cutting out? Let me know if anybody, I don't hear the sound cutting out, but please let us know if there is an issue with the sound here. Interesting. Well, I will wait on that because maybe because 14 straight victories against the Pats. I guess I will wait on that. Interesting. So do you expect to move on a individual bet on the Jets at some point?
If it's this is where it's counterintuitive. I'm catching some steam for it lately, but I continue to cash with it. This is where it's a number below 3. I feel like I have an edge in this marketplace. And if it stays under the 3, I think a 2.5 or just screw it. Just bet it on the money line. Don't even take the 2.5. Bet the money line Jets if it's about to close at 2.5 on Sunday.
And Spenny Penny Bombs will be there in the 36 Fahrenheit temperatures at Gillette Stadium this weekend. Have fun, Spenny, my man. All right, let's roll on. Next up for us, 1 p.m.
Jimmy, isn't it funny how things work? Like the past few teams that I faded or I bought, the Falcons, I faded in the following week with the Bears, right? The Colts this week, I'm fading the Colts. I just continue to fade the teams I just bet on. But I think that's kind of the pattern you want to adopt.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Each week to week is so different. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. Let's roll on to this one. 1 p.m. Eastern, Atlanta Falcons 7-9, 2-6 on the road. New Orleans Saints 8-8, 4-3 home at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. The winner of this game will win the NFC South if the Buccaneers lose at Carolina. If the Buccaneers win, the Falcons are eliminated. Now the Saints can still get in if the Bucs win. They're going to need to win here, have both the Seahawks lose at the Cardinals and the Packers lose at home to the Bears. That's all feasible. That's all possible. Let's get in. The Cardinals defense is a problem, but that's all possible. Let's roll into the line history here for this one. We have the Saints sitting -3 and -113. They opened as 4-point favorites, and now they're 3-point favorites. It is slightly juiced. This wasn't juiced at a 3 this morning. At 11:07 a.m., there was a huge move, a full-point move towards the Falcons. And, I said it last week. The market made no sense to me in 2 spots, and both these teams were involved. The market moving towards both of these teams in outdoor games made no sense to me at all. It shouldn't have moved towards Atlanta, and the market nailed it with New Orleans. So it's tricky, man. This total opened up at 41.5 and has moved to 42.5. So we have a 1-point move to the over, 1-point move towards these Atlanta Falcons. Let's find out what's going on with the cash flow. 51% of the tickets and 97% of the cash. Now, again, we're just dealing with 3,400 tickets, but 97% of the cash is on the Atlanta Falcons. The line's moving towards them. It's pretty much 50-50 for the total. 53% of the tickets on the over, 50% of cash on the over, but it has moved over by a point. Nick says the world will be on the Saints. He is on the Falcons. So let's roll. We have the Falcons coming off an ugly 37-17 loss at Chicago. Another blaring example of the Falcons being solely an indoor team. Heineke was awful. 10 of 29 for 163 yards, a touchdown, 3 interceptions before he re-injured his ankle. Ritter came in late, also good enough to throw another pick. Heineke hopes to be ready for this one. Algiers caught one pass for 75-yard touchdown. That was about the only highlight. Bijan Robinson ran 15 times for 75 yards, caught 3 passes for 11. He tied William Andrews' team rookie record of 1,332 scrimmage yards. That was set back in 79. Falcons were 4 of 13 on third down. They're 13th in the league, converting 40.2% third downs. They failed on their load and red zone try. They've been so bad in the red zone all year. They've 27th in the league, 47.7% conversion rate. Over the last 3 games, though, this is the single worst red zone offense in the NFL by a wide margin. They've converted 16.7% of red zone chances. Defensively, they couldn't get the Bears' offense off the field. The Bears had the possession for 37 minutes, 14 seconds. Pass rush finished with 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, but the secondary only defended 2 passes. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I don't remember ever seeing it. A team only defending 2 passes in a full football game. The Bears were 6 of 16 on third down. Falcons' third down defense is 3rd in the league, allowing opponents to convert 34% of the time. And the Bears went 4 or 5 in the red zone. That's a rarity for the Falcons' red zone defense. It's been very good all year. They lose cornerback Mike Hughes to a concussion. He's in a concussion protocol. And then Drew Dahlman, their center, hurt his ankle, and they need him back in. So we'll have to wait for the Wednesday injury report and follow-up reports. Saints coming off an impressive 23-13 victory at Tampa to keep their division championship hopes alive. Derek Carr was 24-32 for 197 yards, 2 touchdowns. Juwan Johnson got 8 for 90 and a touchdown. Now, Kamara got hurt, and Jamal Williams took over. Jamal Williams ran 19 times for 58 yards, caught 4 passes for 13 yards. The defense was very strong. They shut out the Bucs until halfway through the 4th. They held the Bucs to 2 of 8 on third down. So this third down defense has been getting better and better as the season's gone on. 4th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 34.4% of the time. And over the last 3 weeks, and that includes the Rams game, where they got torched. Over the last 3 weeks, this is the best third down defense in the league, the Saints. They're allowing just a 22.2% conversion rate. The Bucs never made it into the red zone. Saints are 12th there. They're decent red zone defense. Pass rush had 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. Kamara's got the sprained ankle. He's questionable this week. Then Nephi Sewell was carted off in the second quarter, linebacker. He suffered an injury to his ACL. He's done for the year. Landon Young, also, he's listed as questionable. He's got a knee injury. We're not sure the extent of it at this point. Take it away for us here, Troy. The Falcons at the Saints at the Superdome.
I want to go back and rewatch this Saints-Bucs game. I didn't watch it live, but I knew it definitely was a time not to back the Bucs. In saying that, I do think the Bucs deserved a better fate. They did the 10-point loss a little tough. PFF had the noise adjusted score at 19-22, so a 3-point loss. I feel like just looking at box score, that's fair. So I definitely want to go back and see what exactly happened there. But the Falcons, I kind of alluded to this in the last game. I backed them with the max play in Week 16, faded them in Week 17, and to their defense a little bit. That was a bad spot for them. Get them on the road. Swirly winds with snow, it was pretty heavy snow too. The visibility was definitely not good, especially early in that game where the Bears jumped all over them. The defense was impressive. Justin Fields was making incredible throws, and you just don't expect to see that out of the quarterbacks from week to week, especially Derek Carr and this poorly coached Saints team. I'm not saying that's anything about Arthur Smith. I'm not speaking highly of him by any means, but yeah, I just think that this is a time to get back on the Falcons. It was a tough spot last week. They're back in a dome setting. The Falcons, I think they have a legitimate shot to make the playoffs. Unlike a lot of teams with these long shot odds, I feel like this is more legitimate. And I have yet to take action on this game, but this market move down to 3 is very telling. It's a 10-4 ATS spot, but only 8-7 on the money line. So to be 10-4 ATS, only 8-7 on the money line. Very interesting numbers there. I could see a very closely contested game. So it's Falcons or nothing. I'm getting close.
Were you what did you think of the market move towards the Falcons against the Bears? If you were capping a game solely focusing on market moves, wouldn't you want the Falcons? I knew a lot of sharp guys who were on the Falcons, and they were saying, look what the market's doing. What did you think of that market move? How do you compare it to this one?
There's seven examples of a line move from a home favorite of 3 points down to 2.5. There's 7 examples of it before last week, and last week it went 1-1. Before that, it was 5-2 ATS for the home team, meaning the market move was incorrect in that case. I'm not saying it's hard to explain exactly what's going on there, but that's what it's been. And in this case, it's a very strong move in favor of the Falcons to be a road dog down to the 3, not through the 3. So I guess what I'm saying is at 2.5, the value becomes completely flipped back to the home team, where the books were originally accurate with the way the line opened.
It's interesting. Gerald Jones with a heavy lean to the under. This has gone from 41.5 to 42.5. This is a really, I feel like this is a very coin flippy situation, and makes me really uncomfortable here. I don't have a plan. Troy leaning at this point towards the Falcons, and we'll see if he pulls the trigger. Let's roll on. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern, the aforementioned Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 8-8, 4-4 on the road. The Carolina Panthers, 2-14, 2-5 at home. Bank of America Stadium, Charlotte, North Carolina. 51 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 9 miles per hour. Let's get into the line history here to start off. On the spread, we have Tampa sitting here -5.5, -105. And, this opened right there, right at that number. Pinnacle has not touched it. Wild that they haven't touched it. We'll go over the cash flow in a second. From a total perspective, this is 37.5 at Pinnacle, although it's -116 to the over. That move happened today. It was an 11-cent move towards the over at 3:38 p.m. Cash flow wise here for this Bucks game, we have 60% of the tickets, but just 45% of the cash. That throws me for just a loop. And it's because I just didn't think that there was 4 out of every 10 tickets coming in would trust the Panthers. I understand it's a great buy low spot for them, but I was surprised by that. Mac Beaver says Tepper has his drinks lined up, not to drink, to throw. That just showed the kind of person he is.
Hey, Jimmy, check out the money line cash flow splits on all these teams that have to win in the must-win spots. The bigger bets, the sharp action, we call it, is on the must-win spot. All the bets are on it. They're all very public. So it's like, it's very interesting market. It's not like this from week to week. This is certainly specific to week 18.
Oh, yeah. No, good point. Good point. But it goes to show you the kind of guy Tepper is. It reminds me of, when Westbrook, people calling him Westbrook, and he cared. Why would you care about some ass clown at the game calling you out? I mean, Tepper is a billionaire. Westbrook's has got 100 mil in the bank. Who cares? Let them say anything they want. Who cares? But it goes to show you the kind of person Tepper is by throwing that drink. I had to watch it a few times. I couldn't believe my eyes. I really couldn't believe my eyes. And the fact that the Scott Fritterer is just like looking down, like he doesn't want to look up. What a little bitch Fritterer is. But we don't need to get into that. But here we go. Buccaneers win the NFC South if they win at the Panthers, or the Saints lose. Buccaneers coming off an ugly 23-13 loss home to the Saints. As Troy said, it wasn't quite as ugly as maybe the score indicated. Bucs didn't score until halfway through the fourth quarter. Baker Mayfield was 22 of 33 for 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Mayfield was 5 of 10 for 43 yards at halftime. And he came on. Trey Palmer caught 4 passes for 84 yards and a touchdown, but he lost a fumble. Godwin caught 3 for 81 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans caught 3 for 70 yards. Rashad White ran 11 times for 42 yards, caught 4 passes for 24 yards. He also lost a fumble. The Bucs were just 2 of 8 on third down. This team ranks 11th in the league, converting 41.8% of red zone opportunities. And despite that 2 for 8 performance, which this is important, despite going 2 for 8 against in that debacle against the Saints, they're tied with the Bills for the 3rd best third down offense in the league over the last 3 weeks. They didn't make an appearance in the red zone. Tampa's just 25th in the league scoring touchdowns, 48.9% of red zone drives. The pass rush was non-existent. They finished with 1 sack and didn't register a quarterback hit. The defense couldn't get the Saints off the field. The Saints were 8 of 18 on third down. And Tampa struggled in that capacity all season long. They ranked 27th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 42.3% of opportunities, which keeps the opponent on the field too long. And that's what happened in this one. The Saints had the ball for 36 minutes and 38 seconds. And that's happened to them all year. That's happened to the Buccaneers all year. Saints were 1 of 3 in the red zone. Tampa's been excellent in that facet all season, ranking 4th, holding opponents to just 42.6% conversion rate. Shaquille Barrett and Carlton Davis were inactive. They got hurt in Jacksonville. They're so important to this defense. And then Kayvon Merriweather, he had a quad injury. He left the game in the fourth quarter. So this defense has been beaten up over the last, 2 months. The Panthers' horrific season finally comes to a close. I imagine that was rock bottom, watching their owner throw a drink at some guy in the audience. It's just crazy to me. Crazy. The Panthers are 0-9 on the road. They were held scoreless for the first time since losing to Atlanta in Week 12 in 2002. I mean, shut out in 21 years. They got just 7 first downs, 124 yards. Bryce Young was 19 of 32 for 112 yards in the pick. Thielen led receivers with 6 catches for 38 yards. Chuba ran 11 times for 45 yards, caught 4 for 26. They were 1 of 13 on third down. This is just horrific stats, but they're not that bad on third. They're 26th in the league, converting 35% of third down opportunities. They didn't make it in the red zone. They're 22nd there. They score on 50% of red zone trips. Pass rush had 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. I mean, the defense tried to keep them in it. Jags were 7 of 16 on third down. Carolina's 14th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 38.1% of third down tries. Held the Jags to 1 of 5 in the red zone. They're horrible there, but 1 of 5 was pretty good. Now that was against Bedford, but 27th in the league, allowing opponents to score touchdowns, 66.7% red zone drives. And then, Marquise Haynes is in concussion protocol, so they're going to possibly lose another linebacker. Eddie Pinheiro injured his right hamstring in pregame warmups when starting linebacker Grugier Hill handled the kickoff duties for Carolina. I mean, I should have bought out of my action immediately. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. There's just so many games on it. I didn't realize what had happened. I didn't see the kickoff. I noticed that they went for it on fourth down, and then I'm going from game to game to game to game.
Late. It was too late by that time. I'm right there with you.
But what a mistake. And then they lose Cade Mays, their center. He's got a finger injury, so we don't know if he's going to be able to play this week, if he can grip the ball properly. This is a horrific situation on the Panthers, and yet the market does not move, Troy. Take it away for us here. A fascinating spot with the Buccaneers at the Panthers at Bank of America Stadium.
Oh, man, just the pain I'm feeling right now, chuckling because it's just setting up perfectly for the Panthers, isn't it? I really think the Jags or the Bucs are taking a loss this week. I said it earlier, I really believe it. And just the sentiment that has everything to play for, all these teams, I think it's kind of washed. And this Tampa Bay defense was super telling. Devin White is not the player he once was. Neither linebacker, him or Levante David, could cover. The Bucs had 0 drives. They did not get into the red zone not one time last week. It's just really, I kind of expected that coming at some point. Luckily, this community kept me off the Bucs last week. You as well, Jimmy. You were speaking out against the Bucs, and it actually flipped me. I thought I should have bet the Saints. When it was all said and done, I didn't get there. But thank you to the community for keeping me off this spot, because I would have felt like an asshole with the Bucs on my card and a fat loss and a red X. For the Panthers, when Bryce Young got hit, I was hoping we were going to get the red rifle. I really was. After what I was seeing, it wasn't looking good. I would rather have the red rifle out there and not back the Panthers, but I just can't be interested. I can't bet this freaking spot.
Yeah, I understand what Birdie's saying. Birdie here saying the Bucs are going to steamroll the Panthers. Lame duck coach, lame duck OC, lame duck DC. 2 wins. If the Panthers were going to show life, it would have been last week. But the market is really interesting around this point. If this does not move off the 5.5, Troy, is it going to force you to bet the Panthers?
That's what it's done so far. But here's the problem. If you filter the database to the cash cow spot, which is applied to the Panthers 4 times this season, they've gotten the cash only once. They account for 3 losses towards the cash cow record ATS. And I'm going to have to start putting asterisks in there like, hey, this is without the Panthers in the data set, because that's how they're killing the trend.
Wow. It's a spot where I'm absolutely astonished. Astonished this hasn't moved off the 5.5. I cannot believe it. I'm just, and I find it so fascinating. And I don't know what to do with it because of that at this point. And then I'm also shocked to see 4 of every 10 tickets come in on the Panthers, and understanding the buy low situation, understanding how tricky week 18 can be.
See, this type of market, I feel like, is going to flip on its head come game time when as the public start to come in on the side that they're going to want here. I mean, I could see a lot more like 80-40 splits come game time on the spread.
I'll be keeping a very close eye on the situation. Those are the 1 p.m. games. Let's get into the 4:25 games, and we have a big one here. Chicago Bears 7-9, 2-6 on the road. The Green Bay Packers 8-8, 4-3 at home. Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. 35 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 8-mile-per-hour winds. Get into the line history here for this one. From a side perspective, Green Bay is sitting here -3 at -114. I just moved to -113. Excuse me. I should refresh this. Let me just refresh this now. So -3 at -113. So the line is not moved here. In fact, the Bears opened up at +3 at -101. They're now +3 at -104. Let's go into the total scenario here. From a total look, we have it's sitting at 45. It's not a real 45. It's 44 in the market. This was 44 here too. And then today, there was a big move on the on the over. It moved up a point. I guess I should take away the big move. It moved up a point, but it's 45 plus 104. Should probably pull up the Pinnacle book and just see exactly what is at 44. So maybe I think I read that wrong. I guess it still is just a 44, basically. Maybe more of a 44.5 over at Pinnacle. So there has been a move to the over, slight move. And Nick says Bears win outright. Look, I mean, you don't need to sell me on the Bears, and you don't have to. I do not believe in what the Packers did. That was solely a fade of the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm very interested in the Bears, and you'll hear Troy has already moved on this game. 79% of the tickets and 90% of the cash on the Bears, and the line's not moving. There's been no information here on the total. There's only 4,700 tickets in. So the Packers make the playoffs if they win at the Bears. If they lose, they can only get in if the Vikings Seahawks lose, and either the Bucs or the Saints all lose. So the Vikings Seahawks have to lose, and then either the Bucs or the Saints lose. The Bears coming off their 5th straight home win and 4th victory in 5 games, 37-17 at home over the Falcons. It was impressive from every angle. Justin Fields was 20 of 32 for 268 yards and a touchdown. Ran 11 times, 45 yards and a touchdown. DJ Moore caught 9 for 159 and a touchdown. Khalil Herbert ran 18 times for 124 yards and a touchdown. They were 6 of 16 on third down. They're now 10th in the league in third down offense. 41.9% of opportunities they convert. They were a very impressive 4 or 5 in the red zone. They're now 12th in the league there, converting touchdowns 59.6% of the time. And not only that, over the last 3 games, this is the 3rd best red zone offense in the NFL. Pass rush was strong, 2 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, forced the Falcons into 4 interceptions, 2 by Tyreek Stevenson, 1 each from TJ Edwards and Kyler. They held the Falcons to 4 of 13 on third down, Chicago's 29th in third down defense on the season, allowing opponents to convert 42.9% of the time. But this is a different football team than that. So let's cut it down to 3 games. Over their last 3 games, they have the 7th best third down defense in the league, allowing opponents to convert just 33.3% of the time. The Falcons were 0 for 1 in the red zone. We know on the season this is the worst red zone defense in the league. But over the last 3 games, they're tied for the 2nd best red zone defense in the league, allowing opponents to score just 40% of the time. So let's forget about the year-long stats for these Bears. They're a completely different football team right now. Now, Jalen Johnson left. He was hurt his shoulder. He left in the second quarter. He's questionable to go. They would like him out there, obviously. The Packers can clinch the wild card spot with a win. They come in off a dominant 33-10 win at the Vikings. Outgained the Vikings 470-211, 28 first downs compared to just 13 for the Vikings. Jordan Love was 24-33 for 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. The Packers have a litany of injuries to their wide receiving core. Bo Melton led the way with 6 catches for 105 yards and touchdown. Jaden Reed caught 6 passes for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. He has 10 touchdown passes, or catches this season, I should say. So that's the franchise rookie record in receptions as well that he just knocked. 60 receptions, so he passes Sterling Sharp in 88. The Michigan State product is rolling, and he got hurt. He got hurt on the second TD catch. It's a rib injury. It's a chest injury. He was taken for additional tests after he was hurt. They'd already have Watson and Dontavian Hicks sidelined. Samori Toure also left the game. This is a hugely banged up wide receiving core. Now, Aaron Jones ran 20 times for 120 yards. Look, he's back. He's playing phenomenally well last couple of weeks. And they were 9 of 14 on third down. They're 5th in the league, converting 46% of third downs. And over the last 3 weeks, they're the best third down offense in the league. They were 2 of 4 in the red zone. They're 20th in the league, converting 51.7% of red zone drives. Their pass rush was strong, 4 sacks, 14 quarterback hits. They held the Vikings to 3 of 10 on third down. Now, they're not a good third down defense. They're 24th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 42% basically of third downs. They held the Vikings to 1 of 3 in the red zone. They're middling there, 13th in the league there. Jair Alexander will be back this week after serving his 1-game suspension. Still waiting for Eric Stokes. Dealing with that hamstring injury. Linebacker Isaiah McDuffie is in concussion protocol. And Devondre Campbell missed 2 straight games. He could play this week, and he certainly won't be 100%. I want the Bears. I know that you have moved on them, and I can't wait to hear your plan behind it. Does it concern you that 79% of the tickets and 90% of cash are on the Bears and the line's not moving? Can you touch on those things? Because I'm very interested in tailing you. Take it away for us, Troy. The Bears on the comeuppance at Lambeau.
Yeah, I was on the Bears from early in the season. I really like the Bears. I was on their futures, and it's kind of a bittersweet feeling because I know my record is going to get hit eventually by the futures that I've made, because it does not look pretty with the Bears, the Browns, and the Chargers. But probably not winning anything there. But at the same time, this Bears team is going to play inspired football. If there's anything that we can count on from this Bears team, is that they're going to play inspired football. Fields, he refuses futures on the line. I probably sound like a broken record at this point. And the team is clearly rallying up behind them. And I think that's very evident. Is there a better statement win that this Bears team can make than beating the Packers? And I think that's the question right there. I feel like this is the Bears Super Bowl. Everybody in the entire organization from top to bottom feel that way. And I think it's going to come out the show. Defensively is where this team has been most impressive. I mean, Justin Fields has been great. Last week, he had 0 turnover-worthy plays and 5 big-time throws. It was super impressive. I don't know how sustainable it is, but the defense is really where I'm high on this team. The coverage in the secondary is absolutely elite. There's no room to breathe out there. The linebackers are playing well. They can play the run and the pass, so they've been playing it lately at a very high level. The defensive line is doing their job. I know they're getting a lot of the credit lately, specifically with the trade, but I think that it's every man for himself is doing their job. And Justin Fields is stepping up to the test. And here's the thing. I asked my dad about this because obviously I grew up in Chicago, got Bears fans all around me. And I told my dad that he's scrambling out of the pocket on 3rd and 8, breaking tackles, getting the ball out and completing the pass to get a first down on a 3rd and 8. And that's super impressive. But what that also comes with is when he's in the pocket and he takes the wrong hit or he just gets nudged on the elbow, he drops the football. Comes with turnovers too. So it's all been pretty lately for Justin Fields. Hopefully it doesn't get ugly against this Packers defense. I don't think it will. I don't think that they've played against a mobile quarterback of this nature before either this season. So it's going to be something new for them. I know they're familiar with Justin Fields playing in the same conference. But at the same time, this is a whole new team. I think that they're going to step up to the task. I do think the Bears win outright. I probably will have a Bears money line round robin, but I think I'm content with the Bears +3. And you wanted me to touch on the market a little bit. It's funny because if this line did tick down to 2.5, the database would say, well, now the value's on the home team. Take the home team and the spread. So it's like, do I want to see that? Well, yeah, it made me feel good about my 3, but historically it hasn't worked out for those teams. And if it goes to 3.5, I actually think that this market stays at 3. I think it's an open and close at 3. There's a lot of games in the database that fit that profile, and it's crazy how often that they land on 3. There's 19 games that open and closed at 3 the past 2 seasons. 8 of them landed on 3 exactly. Either the home team or the road team has won by 3. And it's about a 50-50 ATS situation. So it's not like there's a heavy lean to one side or the other. Now, if it moves off of the 3, I guess the database would suggest you take the Packers. But I don't think the market is very interesting in this game. So there's a lot of ways it can go.
And do you want to touch on the public succeeding in Week 18s on sides, but not, and touch on the total? Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, I'll do it now. So last year on totals, if you faded the public on totals, you would have hit 75%. If you would have faded the public on sides, you would have hit at 25%. So last year on sides, if you ride with the public, they cashed at a high rate, but the totals is where people got beat. And I found that very compelling. And I kind of started doing a lot more research than I probably should have and had time for on the total and the sides and where the public is more or less efficient. And I found some very, very interesting things that I plan to start utilizing here in the coming seasons.
Very interesting Week 18 stats, and we're so excited to watch your database grow and grow and grow. I'd like to join you on the Bears. I'm not sure if I move on that this evening. Camera File says the exact situation happened last year. If the Packers win, they're in. If they lose and the Seahawks win, the Seahawks are in. And yeah, and Gerald Jones' number on the game, Packers -1. Great to see you, Nate Dogg. My man, Nate Dogg 420 in the house. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board here. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. We have the Denver Broncos 8-8, 3-4 on the road at Las Vegas Raiders, 7-9, 5-3 at home at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. The Broncos are officially eliminated from the postseason. Jarrett Stidham will be starting at quarterback again. Let's start with the line history here for this one. We have the Raiders -2.5, -115. It's exactly where they opened. 1 cent move, -114, now -115. From a total side of things, we're sitting here at 38, -109 to the under. It opened at -107 to the under. So again, there's been no movement at all on side or total in this one. From a cash flow standpoint, we have 48% of tickets and 82% of the cash on the Denver Broncos with no movement. We don't know what's going on with the total. No information there. The Broncos come in off a 69 victory at home over the Chargers in Stidham's first game as a starting quarterback. Stidham was 20 of 32 for 224 yards and a touchdown. He had a passer rating of 93.8%. Taking another look at it, Stidham stayed in the pocket. He wasn't running around all over the place, out of control like Russell Wilson does often. You can imagine that Peyton liked a quarterback just sitting in the pocket. Then we saw, our first slant pass of the season. You know that Peyton wants to see more of that, especially with Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver. A slant pass can be broken very easily here, and Russell Wilson doesn't throw them. So basically what's happening is Peyton is just proving that he can get the exact same results from a $5 million quarterback than he can get from a $49 million quarterback. He's basically just sort of embarrassing the management decisions to sign Russell Wilson for this number. He's not putting the best quarterback here. He's just, now I understand if Russell Wilson fails the March physical, that the $37 million is guaranteed, and maybe that plays a sliver of a part. But I think the bigger part of this is Peyton just wanting to teach management, teach people a lesson about how useless Wilson is at $49 million. How can he can get that? He can pick anybody up off of the street and get the same production. So Stidham's going to start Week 18. Little Jordan Humphrey caught 2 for 69 touchdowns. Stidham's numbers look better because Jordan Humphrey broke a pass, and Jeudy had a huge block on that play. Shout out to Jeudy for that block. It's nice to see. Julian McLaughlin ran 8 times for 44 yards, caught 3 for 18. Broncos were 7 of 17 on third down, but 0 for 2 in the red zone. The third down defense was strong, but it was against Easton Stick and the Chargers. They held the Chargers to 2 of 11 on third down, but Denver has the second best third down defense in the league all year. They allow opponents to convert 31.8% of opportunities. Chargers were 0 for 1 in the red zone. Denver struggled in the red zone, 22nd this year in the league, allowing opponents to score 57.1% of opportunities. The pass rush was uneventful. They sacked Stick once and hit him twice. The Broncos receiving core is beaten up. Cortland Sutton with a concussion. I don't see why he comes back here. He shouldn't. Marvin Mims with the hamstring. Again, I don't see why he comes back here. Right tackle Mike McGlinchey left with a rib injury in the first quarter. He's very important to the squad. They need him in there. Raiders have been officially eliminated from the playoffs after their 23-20 loss at Indianapolis. I think we all expect that this is Antonio Pierce's last game as head coach. I expect the Raiders to play hard for him. O'Connell was 30 of 47 for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Devontae Adams caught 13 for 126 and 2 touchdowns. 1,000-yard mark for the 4th consecutive season, and now he needs 2 receptions for 100 catches. Josh Jacobs still out with the quad injury. Zamir White ran 20 for 71. They got 10 more first downs than the Colts, but we're just 5 of 15 on third down. They've struggled on third down all year, 27th converting third downs. They're 27th in red zone offense. Against the pass rush, they can do very little. On the road this year, they're the 5th worst in the league, averaging just 1.9 sacks per game. That changes, when they go home. I'm not sure why that is. It's so easy to focus solely on Max Crosby and just not let him beat you. At home, they're tied for 6th in the league. They average 3.3 sacks per game. The Colts were 6 of 13 on third down. Las Vegas, poor in that category as well, 25th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 41.9% of the time. The Colts were 1 of 3 in the red zone. Raiders are just 23rd in the league, allowing opponents to score touchdowns on 60.9% of red zone drives. What you can't find with the Raiders is anything they're statistically good at. You can't find it. There's nowhere to be found. They lose left tackle Thayer Munford with a right knee injury. Then they lose tackle Cole Fotheringham with a hamstring injury. They played without Jacobs and Michael Mayer, but this offensive line is getting beaten up. Take it away for us here, Troy. Broncos, Raiders.
I really, really wanted to fade the Broncos again. I've been fading them every week, probably 5-6 weeks in a row. And they burnt me last week, and I really wanted to do it again, but I just don't think I can get there. I don't think here's what's going to happen. If I disuse, or I don't know the best way to say this, man. If I misuse the information that I do have, then I just have to keep it in the. Sorry, excuse me. I'm about to cough up a lung here. Jimmy, give me 1 second here, brother.
Yeah. I can take over here. I think that the interesting part here is I believe the Raiders are going to play hard for Pierce, and I believe the Broncos are going to play hard for Peyton, but for completely different reasons. In Denver, it's because they're afraid of losing their job. They know Peyton is a dictator. And then on the other side, it's because I don't think they're going to see Antonio Pierce again, certainly not as a head coach. What were you thinking here, Troy? Take it away.
Yeah, I just don't – there's no way I could trust this Broncos team. I don't think that they've played any type of offensive talent since they played against the Detroit Lions, and they got absolutely smoked. And I think that we could see a motivated Raiders team. I don't think I'm going to have one side or other in this game, though, so I'll have no action.
And just from a market standpoint, if this sits here at 2.5 and does not move, despite 82% of the cash being on the Broncos, where would that database lead you? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, if it opens and closes at the 2.5, it would be take the Broncos. 9-3 ATS, 9-3 straight up.
Okay. Well,
but any cash flow, the cash flow doesn't in this market. It's really unexplainable. Maybe that when it's really unexplainable like that, you just don't, put too much equity into it. But it's been pretty strong.
Do you feel like do you have any expectation for points here? This total's not moved a cent off of that 38.
I don't expect points in Raiders games. I don't think that they can sustain drives. And I don't expect the Broncos to be able to sustain drives either. So I guess I would be leaning towards the under in this game.
All right, no action for Troy and I at this point. Let's move on. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Philadelphia Eagles 11-5, 5-3 on the road at the New York Giants. 5-11, 3-4 at home at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. 37 Fahrenheit, snow, 13-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have Oh, sorry, I'll move back to Penny. We have the Giants sitting here at +5 right now. They opened up at +6. We all know what that means thus far in Troy's database, and we'll have him touch on that. From a total side of things, we're sitting at 41.5. This opened up at 45.5. And that was on New Year's Eve at 8:07 p.m. This has moved 4 points since then. A huge move towards the under. Let's go over to the cash flow here for this spot. We have on the side 59% of the tickets and 58% of the cash on the Giants. Then on the total, 38% of tickets and 57% of cash on the under. The Eagles will win the NFC East if they win at the Giants and the Cowboys lose at the Commanders. They've clinched a playoff berth. They come in off yet another ugly loss, falling 35-31 at home to the Cardinals. They were outgained 449-275. That's how badly the Cards had 32 first downs while the Eagles had just 17. Jalen Hurts was 18-23 for 167 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. He also ran 8 times for 25 yards. Hurts' 3 TD passes gives him the franchise record, 38 touchdown passes this season. A.J. Brown caught 4 passes for 53 yards. Dallas Goedert caught 5 for 47 and a touchdown. Julio Jones citing 2 touchdown passes, whereas only 2 passes that he caught, touchdown passes for 34 yards combined. DeAndre Swift ran 13 times for 61 yards. He's been disappointing this year now that we're at week 18 because he's got so much talent. This should be a team where you have to worry about the wide receivers so much that he should have a lot of room. And there's been times where he's looked so good and just hasn't been consistent enough. They were 4 of 9 on third down. This is the second best third down offense in the league. They convert 48.6% of opportunities. They were a perfect 2 of 2 in the red zone. They're 10th in red zone offense, scoring touchdowns 60.3% of red zone drives. But the offense is not the problem. It's the defense that is. The Cardinals rushed for 221 yards and never punted. Jonathan Gannon returned to Philly, got his big win. Sean Desai's already been ditched. And I mean, imagine being so bad that you see this homeless dude in sweatpants with a pencil in his ear and you're like, hey, Matt, why don't you take over? It's ridiculous. Patricia taking over. I mean, what a mess. They've allowed an average of 31.5 points per game over their last 6 with 4 of those losses. The pass rush continues to be non-existent, 4 sacks over their last 3 games. This was the record-breaking pass rush from last year. They have 4 sacks over their last 3 crucial football games. They were 5 for 10, the Cardinals on third down. Eagles are the 3rd worst third down defense in the league, allowing opponents to convert 46.6% of opportunities. Cards went 4 of 6 in the red zone. They're the 3rd worst red zone defense in the league. They allow opponents to score touchdowns 67.9% of the time. Sidney Brown returned an interception for 99 yards to the house. He looked very good doing it. But I'm shocked to see this go from 45.5 to 41.5. The Giants come in off a 26-25 loss at home to the Rams. They had a chance to pull off the upset when Olszewski scored on that 94-yard punt return to get New York within a point with 3:27 to play. After that encroachment, Dable elected to go for 2, and Tyrod Taylor showed why he's been a backup his whole career, except for that short period of time in San Diego. Saquon was wide open. Tyrod could have run it in, could have thrown it. He just couldn't handle it. And he just, lost it. But he was 27-41 for 319 yards, touchdown and a pick. He also ran 6 times for 40 yards. Darius Slayton caught 4 for 106 and a touchdown. Saquon struggled, ran 12 for 39, caught 3 for 19. The Giants were 5 of 16 on third down and 0 for 2 in the red zone. Pass rush was strong, 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. They held the Rams to just 2 of 8 on third down. So, first off, the Rams have a really good third down offense. And the Giants' third down defense, 7th in the league this year. They mean very good. The Rams were 3 for 3 perfect in the red zone. It's been an Achilles heel for the Giants all year. They're just 24th in the league red zone defense. Dane Belton had 2 picks, first 2 of the year. Deontay Banks missed the game with a shoulder injury, cornerback. And then right tackle Tyree Phillips hurt his knee on the opening series. He came back, and then he tore his quad in the 4th quarter, so he's done for the season. Jason Pinnock, safety, left in the 1st quarter with a foot injury. Now, he passed all the tests, but he did leave in a walking boot. Who knows if he will be available here? We'll get a better idea as the injury reports roll in. So take it away here, Troy. The Eagles, this is the sweet spot in your database for the Giants from 6 to 5. Do you want them?
The question to me is, are we going to get an inspired effort out of this Eagles team? The market's clearly telling me we're not going to get that. And why should we expect it? They're completely in shambles. No cohesiveness. Everyone seems to be on a different page. The coaches are pushing instead of pulling, and I think it's causing friction. from top to bottom. And what would be a sweeter feeling for Dabble and this Giants team to knock off the Eagles for the fun of it? The market's right for the home team to cover. Like you said, this is technically the cash cow. Now, I would like to see it maybe dip a little bit lower to have a little bit more faith. And it's much more profitable for the road dogs. But still at home, we're talking about 6-5 on the money line. That's extremely profitable situation to grab a home dog. So it's only one way for me. I haven't moved on it yet. And it's because, I don't know, I just got burned off of it the last week. Maybe it's late in the season, semantics, or maybe it's just the Panthers. But there's a good chance I'll have Giants on my card this weekend.
It's too bad that the Eagles got embarrassed again. If they were coming off a nice win, it would be a slam dunk.
Because, right, this is the perfect spot to bounce back or at least get right. Get some positive feelings like for the entire team. I want to back the Eagles in the playoffs, but they've given me no hope, no reason to do so.
Do you agree with this market move towards the under from 45.5 to 41.5? Big 4-point swing.
Yeah, when it swings that much, usually it's a dead under, especially in this range, because I always talk about this range and the market being very, very misleading. So they take from 41 up to 41.5 or up to 42. But when you start talking about these massive 2, 3, 4-point moves, it's a much different story. And we see a lot more of that being very correct situation.
All right, more work to do on that game. But let's go into a double up form we already bet. Finally, some pre-game, pre-show Tuesday action. I swept the board on my pre-show action last week, 3-0 on those bets. I made 3 pre-show bets this week. 4:25 p.m. Eastern, Seattle Seahawks 8-8, 3-5 on the road. Arizona Cardinals 4-12, 2-5 at home. State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. This is the exact same situation as the Arizona Philadelphia game last week. So I'm just going to trust the X's and O's here and not care, because last week the total didn't move in my direction. The total just stayed or kind of got juiced to the under. I'm first half over, full game over. It's the exact same lines. I got 23.5 on the first half. Now that moved to 24.5 by the time I got to the show. I'm not sure. I could check it out here. And the 48 never moved. And here we are with almost the exact same situations here. So let's start with the total, because that's what I doubled up on. We'll start with the where are we here with Seattle, Arizona. So we have it sitting now at 47, and that's what I got, right? I got the 47. Yes, I got 47 minus 112. It's now minus 115, so it's moved 3 cents in my direction, since I bet it. I guess that's something. It is 47.5 at these other books. Sitting at 47. Is there a 48? That book doesn't really count. Yes, Bookmaker has moved it to 48. Okay, but I don't care if it doesn't move in my direction. It didn't move in my direction last week, and it was a very, very easy victory. Now the first half was a little bit of a sweat. From a spread scenario here, we have Arizona +3. That's where they opened, +3. But the market's gone 13 cents in their direction, from minus 103 to minus 116, a 13-cent move towards them. From a cash flow standpoint, 63% of tickets and 73% of the cash is on the Cardinals. Seen that 13-cent move towards them. 83% of the tickets is on the over. We got no cash information, but 2,776 tickets are in here. So the Seahawks will make the playoffs if they beat the Cardinals here and have the Packers lose to the Bears. That's all possible. They're coming off a 30-23 home loss to the Steelers, where all of their deficiencies were front and center. They were still in the game despite being outgained 468 to 369. How they could allow Mason Rudolph-led offense to come into Seattle and put up 468 yards is an example of how bad this team is defensively. They allowed the Steelers to have the ball for 37 minutes and 33 seconds. Geno Smith was 23 of 33 for 290 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions. He also ran 3 times for 33 yards. He also lost a fumble. DK Metcalf caught 5 passes for 160 yards. Kenneth Walker ran 10 times for 53 yards and a touchdown, caught 3 for 22. Their difficulties on third down have plagued them all year long. They were 3 of 9 here. They're 25th in the league, converting just 35.4% of third downs. So that's a difference between the Eagles games, because we know the Eagles are great on third down. But They were 2 of 3 in the red zone. They're 24th in the league in red zone offense, scoring touchdowns on just 49% of the time. So there's another difference. We know the Eagles has a strong red zone offense. Defensively, they were so weak. They let the Steelers put up 25 first downs. The Steelers were 6 of 13 on third down. Seattle's the second worst team in the NFL on third down. They allow opponents to convert 46.8% of third down opportunities. The Cardinals are the worst team in the league on third down. How is either team going to get the other off the field? I posed the exact same question in the Eagles-Cardinals game. The Steelers easily could have put up more than 30 points on the Seahawks, but they were just 3 of 7 in the red zone. Now, the Seahawks are 26th in red zone defense, allowing the opposition to score touchdowns on 62.3% of red zone opportunities. This is perfect because Arizona is the second best red zone team in the league on the season. They scored 65% of red zone drives. But they are by far the best team in the league in the red zone since Kyler Murray's come back. I mean, by far, clearly the best team. Seahawks pass rush registered 1 sack and 2 quarterback hits. The Seahawks allow 134.1 yards per game. That's the third on the ground. That's the third worst in the league. They allowed the Steelers to put up 202 yards. Pittsburgh was the 6th straight opponent to rush for at least 135 yards against the Seahawks. James Conner, I've been telling you guys 4 weeks since he came back that he's trying to go for 1,000 yards. He's telling everyone he's going for 1,000 yards. He's never rushed for 1,000 yards. So Conner is going to go off, and I am going to bet this a full unit on Conner rush yards over as soon as it's available. This will be the first full unit play. Second one. I took a Lamar Jackson rush prop. So sorry, this is the second of full unit player prop of the year for me. It will be on James Conner over So at this point, Seattle hurt their offensive line. They lose Abe Lucas. So they're hoping he's going to be back. He's dealing with a knee injury. Their center, Evan Brown, is in concussion protocol. They think he will be back for this. They need him to be back, and he says that he thinks he'll be back. So Arizona comes in off its most impressive win of the year. Jonathan Gannon returns to Philly, gets the win. It had to feel good. Arizona outgained the Eagles 449 to 275. They're going to put up another 450 yards in this one. They had 32 first downs compared to the Eagles 17. They're going to have 25 plus first downs here. Kyler Murray was 25 to 31 for 232 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. He also ran 5 times for 24 yards. I talked to you guys about his issues finding wide receivers. He's starting to work on that. It's all out in the media. He knows it. His wide receivers aren't happy. Dortch caught 7 for 82. James Conner ran 26 times for 128 yards and a touchdown. I don't like backing a player prop after a guy goes off, but he wants 1,000 yards badly. He's going to break 100. Michael Carter ran 7 for 61. This Cards defense is anemic. This pass rush for the Cards has 1 sack in their last 3 games. Both offenses are going to get whatever they want. Now, the Seahawks are probably going to struggle in the red zone where the Cardinals will succeed. I don't need the Cardinals here after this defining performance in Philadelphia. I just need to understand that these 2 defenses are trash and will not be able to get the opposition's offense off the field, and the points will come with ease. Take it away, Troy. My only double up here rolling into the show, Seahawks Cardinals.
I think you just killed that, Jimmy. You killed it. It's because I was trying to do. So when you sent me your action earlier today, I really liked it. But I also, a lot of your cap was leading me towards the Cardinals, or the reasons I like the Cardinals. But I think you're right. Geno Smith kind of plays to the flow. He's a very fluid quarterback, I feel like. He could play up to his competition or down. And I feel like the Cardinals are the type of team to drag him up. To play it, I feel like they'll make him rise to the occasion more, where he'll put up points on the board. Because really, that was my question: am I going to get that out of this? What are we going to get out of the Seahawks? I feel like I'm pretty damn confident what we're going to get out of the Cardinals, and that's ground and pound. James Conner's been incredible. Watched him now 3 weeks in a row. I actually bet him against the Bears. I had his rushing yards over, and guess what? He had 44. He was like 3 yards short at half. He didn't get one more yard. He basically finished with what he had at half. It was crushing, and I watched him go crazy last week. I think that sets up perfectly for him to succeed as well. I think it's a good bet. I really do. I'm just trying to decide, do I want the Cardinals plus the 3, or do I want the total? And the market here, as it relates to the total, is a little bit different than it was last week because the home team's a dog in this case, and usually you see dogs go under the total at a higher rate. But actually, in this specific market, when it's opening at 47, 47 and a half, 48, in that range, it goes over. I mean, I have a 5-1 sample, so it's not a big sample. I don't want to put too much eggs in that basket. But I think the coast is clear for an over here. And I just really want to decide, but I think you kind of pushed me onto the over instead of the Cardinals. I think it's a safer, better bet.
I get why anyone would take the Cardinals. It's just, I think, bad business backing a team after the season-defining victory. Now they're playing hard, and the Seahawks, for whatever reason, I'm not a Pete Carroll guy, but he seems to get more out of his team than he should, and he continues to get that. I think he's probably going to get that here. He's a pretty passionate dude, regardless of my feelings on his actual X's and O's. He pumps his players up. The whole season's on the line. The Packers could easily lose to the Bears. I think this is going to be just like that Eagles game, where you just sit back and it's just drive after drive after drive after drive. And the only issue here will be how long the Seahawks drives are and if they have red zone issues. That's the only way I see this not cashing is, a stopped at the goal line situation. That's it for me. I first half full game over for me. I'm not going to bother with the side, although I like the way the Cardinals have been playing, but I don't want that to get in my head because the Cardinals got me the survivor pools. Cardinals have been very, very good to me. I don't need them to win. I just need them to score. And I'm going to put a full unit on James Conner rush yards. That's my spot. Anything you want to add before we move on to the next game?
I have notes on the over in this game. I'm gonna look into the market a little bit more. Hopefully, we get more information on the cash flow, and then I'll probably be moving on the over with you.
I like it. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Kansas City Chiefs 10-6, 5-2 on the road. Los Angeles Chargers 5-11, 2-6 at home. SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Let's get into the line history here for this one. It's a mess. I mean, who is going to be playing for the Chiefs? The Chargers right now are 3-point favorites. The actual line was moving towards the Chiefs on the night of January 1st, last night. It's come back pretty hard on the Chargers. Now 3-point favorites here. From a total side of things, we are sitting with a 35.5. I took a long look at this under. It hasn't moved really. It's moved 4 cents, to the over at that number at Pinnacle. When we get to the cash flow for this spot, 69% of the tickets and 71% of cash on the Chiefs, and this line's moving so heavy towards the Chargers. Then 67% of tickets, but just 50% of cash is on the over, so 33 and 50 on the under. And the Chiefs have clinched the AFC West. They're locked into the number 3 seed in the AFC. They have nothing to play for here. They come in off a 25-17 victory at home over the Bengals. Bucker kicked 6 field goals in the victory. I don't know how I cashed the -7 and the under 46 and a half. I think I got the 46 and a half. I might have got 45 and a half. I can't even remember now, but I don't know how I 17-13 Bengals at the break. Just one of those. I mean, finally the sun shines kind of a thing. The Chiefs offense just continues to sputter. Mahomes 21 for 29, 249 yards, touchdown, lost a fumble. Blaine Gabbert expected to get the start this week, but nothing's been announced officially. Rashee Rice caught 5 for 127. Pacheco returned from a shoulder injury. He ran 18 times for a career high 130 yards, caught 7 for 35. You have to think he's rested for sure. He's got to be rested here, doesn't he? As usual, the defense was strong. They shut the Bengals out in the second half. The pass rush finished with 6 sacks and 14 quarterback hits. Bengals had just 263 yards of offense. Since he was 8 of 16 on third down, Chiefs are 10th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 37% of third down opportunities. I don't know why they were so bad last week. They held the Bengals to 204 in the red zone. They're just mediocre there. We talk so much about this Chiefs defense, how good they are. There's a lot of spots that show they're just sort of a middling group. 15th in the league, allowing opponents to score touchdowns, 53.2% of red zone trips. Now, in the last 3 games, the Chiefs have the best red zone defense in the league. So they've tightened up their ship here coming into the end of the year. They're still very thin at wide receiver. Sky Moore on IR and Kadarius Toney inactive with the hip injury. The Chargers' sad season will finally come to an end. They coming off an ugly 16-9 loss at Denver. Easton Stick was 24-38 for 220, no touchdowns, no picks. With Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer out. It was Alex Erickson that stepped up, making 7 catches for 98 yards. Just another slap in the face for Quentin Johnston. I mean, how do you not step up now? It's just amazing how poorly he's been. 3 catches for 29 yards. Austin Eckler ran 13 times for 46 yards, lost another fumble. Chargers were 2 of 11 on third down, 0-1 in the red zone. The defense tried to keep them in it. Held the Broncos to 7-17 on third down. This Chargers team, 17th this year in third downs, allowing opponents to convert 38.4% of the time. Pass rush finished with 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. Khalil Mack hit the 100-sack mark. 16th sack of the season, career best. Held the Broncos to 0 for 2 in the red zone. Chargers red zone defense 16th in the NFL, allowing opponents to score touchdowns 57.1% of the time. James says Stick looked bad. He didn't look good, but the Chiefs just don't care about this game at all. And there are some players on the Chargers team that are trying. So take it away here. And take it away. I'm looking forward to hear your thoughts. Is there anything that interests you here with Chiefs Chargers?
2 teams that have been a thorn in my side. There's no way I'll be betting this game. If I do bet it, I'll be on the wrong side. So if you see me post any action on a Chargers or Chiefs game, just fade me, and you'll be hitting at 100%. That's the best trend of the database.
At this point, I don't want to back the Chargers, but I think the market is pretty clear, indicating that they are the spot. Don't you, Troy?
Yeah, I would say at the 3, it's very, very telling. But at the same time, I just have no idea what I'm going to get. I have no idea. I don't want to just play the market in a spot like this where I've been so wrong all year long. With all the success I've had, these are 2 teams. My ROI is deep in the red.
And Birdie's saying caution on the Chiefs D numbers looking so. Now, I did mention they were the best red zone defense in the league over the last 3 weeks. I just don't know if they're as good as everybody's been making them out to be. But he says they've had the worst rest differential in the NFL by a lot, which is completely legitimate. And, I'm very interested to back the Chiefs as a dog in the playoffs, later in the playoffs if they get there. I'd be interested in it. But again, and no, Slatsy, my dad has not had any action in a couple weeks now. Feeling pretty good about himself, man. Just counting dollars here. It's just very little action here. But he will be at this football game. All right. No, I guess I have interest in the Chargers. I mean, I can imagine the Easton Stick's going to be trying. And, I guess I have some interest in the Chargers. I just don't know if, like you, I want to bother going down that road. But I think this is a pretty telling line move. And I'll take a little bit more time on it. All right. Ron Croft said it'll be interesting to see what Mahomes can do on the road in the playoff. All right, let's move on to the next spot on the board, 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Here's another spot that's not an enjoyable cap. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Los Angeles Rams 9-7, 4-4 on the road. San Francisco 49ers 12-4, 5-2 at home at Levi Stadium, Santa Clara, California. 52 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny, 7 miles per hour. The Niners have clinched number 1 seed in the NFC in the first round bye. The Rams have clinched a playoff berth. They're going to be either the number 6 or the number 7 seed in the NFC. It all depends on whether the Packers can beat the Bears. So the Rams will either face the Cowboys, Lions, or Eagles. The Lions are the likeliest opponent right now based on projections. And the Packers are the only team that can overtake the Rams for the number 6 seed. So their game against the Bears is the only matchup that can affect LA's seeding. Nothing can affect it here in this game. So it's a meaningless game for both of these teams. The Niners right now are 3-point favorites, and it's heavily juiced. They opened up as a regular 3. They got up to 3.5. Then they got up to 5.5 on New Year's Day. Then New Year's night, a huge move back, and that's where they are right now. They're a juiced 3 or a 3.5. From a total standpoint here, we have it sitting at a 41.5, heavily juiced to the over. It's 42.5 market wide. This opened up at 43. It's dropped down to 41.5. cash-wise here for the Niners game. We have sorry, let me find it again. We have 70% of the tickets, 91% of cash on the Rams. 27% tickets, 47% cash on the under. So here we go. 49ers have clinched number 1 seed in the NFC. And the Rams come in off this tougher than expected 26-25 win at the Giants. It was their third straight win, 6 in 7 games. They were fortunate to hold on for the win. Stafford was 24 for 34 for 317 yards, touchdown, 2 picks. Puka Nacua caught 5 for 118. Demarcus Robinson got 6 for 92. Kyron ran 20 times for 87 yards and 3 touchdowns. They were just 2 of 8 on third down. They're 12th in the league, converting 40.8% of third down opportunities. They were perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. They're now 8th in the league, scoring touchdowns on 61.5% of red zone chances. The pass rush was excellent. It finished with 6 sacks, 10 quarterback hits. The Giants were 5 of 16 on third down. The Rams are 15th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 38.1% of third downs. They've been improving as the season's gone on. And now, over the last 3 weeks, they're 5th in the league in third down defense, allowing opponents to convert just 31.7% of the time. They held the Giants to 0 for 2 in the red zone. They're 8th in the league in red zone defense, allowing opponents to score touchdowns 51.1% of the time. This young defense, this young secondary has been improving, it seems like, every game. Jordan Fuller had an interception but suffered a sprained ankle. He won't be playing. Alaric Jackson was inactive for family reasons. So whatever the reasons are, they're legitimate and there's no problems as far as I've heard from the brass. Nose tackle Bobby Brown hurt his right knee late in the first quarter, did not return. He's listed as questionable. Tyler Higbee separated his shoulder, so he's definitely not going to be in the lineup. And then here we have the Niners clinching that first number 1 seed in the NFC, coming off that 27-10 victory at Washington, outgained the Commanders 408 to 225, 28 first downs, while Washington only had 12. Brock broke Jeff Garcia's franchise record for passing yards. Now it's 4,280. Brandon Ayuk caught 7 passes for 114 yards and a touchdown. Elijah Mitchell ran 17 times for 80 yards and a touchdown. McCaffrey ran 14 for 64, caught 4 for 27. Now he's got a calf injury. These 2 weeks off will help him very much. They're 4-9 on third down. They're 4th in the league, converting 47.3% third downs, 3 of 6 in the red zone. They're number 1 in red zone offense. They scored touchdowns, 65.6% red zone drives. Pass rush didn't do much, didn't have to. 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. Held the Commanders to 3 of 9 on third down. San Francisco is 9th in red zone. The Commanders were 1 of 2 in the red zone. San Francisco is 9th in red zone defense, allowing opponents to score touchdowns 51.2% of the time. Tavares Ward, Diomedore, Lenoir each had picks. They played without Eric Armstead, Jair Brown, Ross Dwelly, Juwan Jennings, Jalen Moore. None of those guys will be playing this week. They just need to get healthy. What the hell do we do with this game, Troy? Is there any interest from any angle here in Rams-Niners?
Yeah, there's really only one angle I'm looking at playing in this game. I think we have 2 coaches here. I think behind the scenes, probably a handshake or something going on where, you don't hurt me, I don't hurt you. Let's not put anything on film. Let's not put our important pieces at risk here. And these are 2 of the more delicate teams in the NFL where their players, every single player is extremely meaningful. And I could just see, I could really see this Rams team being a problem come playoff time. Anytime you have a coach and a quarterback combination like they got, the weapons in Puka, Cooper, Kyron, the defense that could stop the run, I feel like you're setting up for a very dangerous team. But with this specific game, Birdie said he likes the under, and I was thinking the same thing. I feel like the market sets up perfectly. We have 70% of the tickets on the over. I feel like that should only continue as the week goes on. And I just feel like it's probably the right time to back the under. And the line's moving in our, line's already dropped 1.5 points.
Sam Darnold will be a quarterback for the whole game. Do we think Purdy gets a snap?
I think Purdy might get a few snaps, but at the same time, I don't know. Like these teams that have 2 weeks to prepare for their first playoff game, I feel like they're going to want to get their guys some reps.
Interesting. Well, Birdie on the under and Troy vouching for it. I will keep an eye on that. I don't want, I don't want either of these. I don't want to have cash and expecting either of these backups to deliver for me. You can imagine that. You can imagine right now that Darnold is going to take no risks whatsoever. And then who knows what the hell Carson Wentz is going to do? I mean, I don't know. Do you have any expectations for Carson Wentz?
I have no expectations for Carson Wentz. I don't know what I should do with the spread at all. I don't know what the right price should be. It's just a game where you fade the public, it looks like to me.
I mean, yeah, this is just nuts with no statistical basis for what Wentz and Darnold are going to do right now. It's really hard to kind of put together some kind of a script. But I can understand some interest in the under. All right, let's move past it. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Dallas Cowboys 11-5, 3-5 on the road at Washington Commanders 4-12, 1-6 at home. We're at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. 40 Fahrenheit, 10 miles per hour, partly cloudy. Cowboys will win the NFC East if they win at the Commanders or the Eagles lose at the Giants. They've clinched a playoff berth. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have the Cowboys as 13.5-point favorites, 13.5 or 13. It's opened up at 13.5. Since then, there's been an 8-cent move on the Commanders. From a total scenario, we are sitting here at 45. It's 45.5 around the books. This opened up on New Year's Eve at 48. So we've had a 3-point move to the under despite it being heavily juiced to the over. Now, this over 45, once it got down there, this was plus 105 to the over at one point. So since then, there's been a move on this over, but it went down pretty hard. Ron Crawford, NFL spreadsheet play of the day part 2 is Washington plus 13 here. Let's get into the cash flow for this one. From a cash flow scenario, we have 49% of tickets, 84% of cash on the Cowboys, 49.84. 50% of tickets, 75% cash on the under. So the Lions coming off that, the Cowboys coming off that 2019 victory at home over the Lions. They were given this gift by Brad Allen. I talked about it on that first game. I don't want to get into it again. I could talk a long time about it. What's done is done. We don't need to rehash that controversy. The Cowboys were perfect 8-0 at home this season. That's first perfect home record since 1980 and 81 seasons. And Dak was 26 of 38 for 345 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. 13 of those completions went to CeeDee Lamb. Caught a career high 227 yards, including a 92-yard touchdown pass. While he was excellent, he did lose another fumble. But Lamb's touchdown pass, second longest pass in franchise history, 95-yard connection, the record from Meredith and Bob Hayes. It's wild going back that far. Excuse me. Tony Pollard ran 16 times for 49 yards. The Cowboys were 7-14 on third down. They're the third best third down offense in the league, converting 47.7% of opportunities. They were 1 of 2 in the red zone. They've been mediocre all year long in the red zone. It's going to cost them in the most important games of the year. They rank 16th in the league there, converting 54.7% of red zone opportunities. And over the last 3 games, they're 26th in scoring touchdowns in the red zone. 26th. That's how bad they've been. 42.9% red zone drives. It's going to hurt them, man. The defense bent but didn't break. They allowed the Lions to put up 420 yards, but held them to 413 on third down. Dallas is 16th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 38.3% of third downs. Held the Lions to 2 of 4 in the red zone. The red zone defense ranks 21st in the league. There's a lot of mediocre numbers on this Cowboys team, except for third down offense, very strong. The pass rush had 1 sack, 7 quarterback hits. Jordan Lewis, Donovan Wilson each had interceptions. Commanders coming off a 27-10 loss home to the Niners. They were badly outgained, 408 to 225, 12 first downs compared to 20 for the Niners. Niners were in complete control, held on the ball for 38 minutes, 13 seconds. Sam Howell was supposed to be benched for Jacoby Brissett, but became the starter when Brissett hurt his hamstring in practice. Finished 17-28 for 106 Niners, touchdown, 2 picks. McLaurin had 4 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. Brian Robinson had 9 carries for 44 yards, caught 4 for 32. They were 3 of 9 on third down. They're 23rd in the league there, converting 36.4% of third down opportunities. They're 5th in the league in red zone offense, and it's surprised me all year. They score touchdowns on 63.8% red zone drives, and over the last 3 weeks, they're 2nd best in the league in red zone offense. Their pass rush, again, non-existent. 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit. They have 4 sacks over the last 3 games. Niners were 4 of 9 on third down. The Commanders are 23rd in the league, allowing opponents to convert 40.7% of third down drives. Niners are 3 of 6 in the red zone. Commanders are 19th there, allowing opponents to score 54.7% red zone drives. And more injuries. Tariq Castro Fields, shoulder injury, and then Christian Holmes concussed. So there's 2 more cornerbacks gone. Right tackle Andrew Wiley got hurt. He didn't play. He was listed as questionable. He's got an elbow issue. So Trent Scott filled in for him and was horrific. I mean, he looked so bad. So is Wiley going to be back? Take it away for us here, Troy. Cowboys, Commanders.
last year, week 18, Cowboys went into Washington as 7.5-point favorites, up from 6.5 the opener, and lost by 20. Now we're sitting here looking at a 14-point spread. It's just hard to want anything to do with a spread like that. But at the same time, I feel like we're going to get a much better effort out of the Commanders, where we're going to see a much more just trying to get past, get the win, get out of Washington. So I'm really leaning towards the Commanders. I haven't bet this game, but I just cannot see the Cowboys. When have they proven that they can win on the road by margin in a game where I don't think they have very much motivation? So this is Commanders or pass very clearly.
That's what I thought about the Niners game. And I'm just so thankful that I didn't move on the Commanders in that one. Now, the under would have cashed. I would have taken both. So I still would have lost a little bit of VIG, but I just
that's
don't know
the
how.
Niners on the road and not the Cowboys on the road. I know it's all relative, but
Yeah, I don't want – I mean, everybody's checked out of the Commanders. I mean, this is the last time we'll see Dreamboat Ron on the sidelines, thank God. What a mess. I said at the beginning of the year that I don't think that Sam Howell will be an NFL starting quarterback in this league. I don't think he will. I still don't think he will. I don't think he's terrible, but I imagine that the first round pick of the Commanders, maybe they trade up. I can imagine the ownership wants a quarterback to build around and probably doesn't think Sam Howell's the guy. I'm not interested in this here. I just don't. I don't find it appealing at all.
This week is so tough to find things that are appealing.
I think we got some. And Dan Kelly adding to the Bob Hayes, Don Meredith spot. We're both, Ring of Honor guys in Dallas. Says Bob Hayes won the gold medal 100 meters in the 64 Olympics. It's fun. The deeper we get into the history of these sports, it becomes more and more enjoyable. Okay, we've talked about a bunch of games that mean very little. Let's talk about a game that means a lot. And we're back. Sunday night live stream. We've been gone for a minute. We're back in it. Buffalo Bills 10-6, 3-4 on the road at the Miami Dolphins, 11-5, 7-1 at home at Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. 69 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 10 miles per hour. The winner of this game wins the AFC East. I know so many of you have Buffalo Bills futures, and I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I can't believe your division spots are live. I can't believe that the Bengals are an afterthought who aren't in the playoffs. The Chiefs are weak, and you guys have huge numbers on the Bills. I'm very excited for you guys. Let's talk about the line history of this one here. And, of course, the elephant in the room being Bradley Chubb done for the season. That hurts this Miami team a lot. That was a costly loss. Miami sitting here at +3 at -111. They opened up at +2.5. They're now +3. It is slightly juiced. Now, this +3 was +101 this afternoon at 2:19 p.m. So since then, there has been a 12-cent move on the Miami Dolphins. From a total scenario here, we have a 50 -114 to the under. This went down to 49 today at 2 p.m. and then right back to 50. There still has been a 7-cent move to the under. All right, let's take a look at the cash flow here. This is our final game on today's show. The final regular season game will be capping this year. We'll be right back next Tuesday with playoff Bankroll Blitz. 55% of the tickets, 73% of cash on the Buffalo Bills. They've gone from 2.5 to 3. 58% of tickets and 90% of cash on the under. Big bets on the under. There's only been a 7-cent move to the under. Mac Beaver says Miami's being heavily overlooked here, but Buffalo owns the Dolphins. Harold Williams says Bills. Nick says Bills. So the Dolphins have clinched a playoff berth. If the Bills lose, they can still clinch a playoff spot if the Steelers or Jaguars lose. So the Bills will know if they made the playoffs. Obviously, by the time this rolls around, it'll be who's going to win the division. The Bills come in off an underwhelming 27-21 victory over the Patriots, 4th straight victory. They were outgained 294 to 281 in that win. Josh Allen was 15 for 30 for 169 yards, no touchdowns in the pick. He also ran 11 times for 44 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did fumble twice, but he was very fortunate not to lose either. Scored his team-leading 15th rushing touchdown. So that's one short of matching the team season record set by O.J. Simpson in 1975. Allen had his streak of games throwing a touchdown end at 23. Dalton Kincaid led receivers with 4 catches for 87 yards. James Cook ran 16 times for 48 yards. 4 catches for 87. I think I said it right. James Cook ran 16 for 48. Bills were 7 of 15 on third down. They're the best third down offense in the league, converting 49% of opportunities. They were just 2 of 5 in the red zone. They're the second, tied for the second best red zone offense in the league at 65%. They're very strong in both spots. The pass rush finished with 3 sacks and 8 quarterback hits. Rasul Douglas had 2 interceptions, returning 1 to the house. That was an excellent pickup off of the Packers for a 5th rounder. Ed Oliver had an interception as well. Big Ed Oliver. They held the pass to 4 of 10 on third down. Their third down defense, 18th in the league. They allow opponents to convert 38.5% of the time. Patriots are 2 of 2 in the red zone. Buffalo's red zone defense is just 18th as well. So 18th on third down defense, 18th in red zone defense. A middling defense that's handled the injuries pretty well. The Dolphins coming off a costly 56-19 loss at Baltimore. I saw them lose star edge rusher Bradley Chubb to the torn ACL. Why was he on the field? What the hell was he doing on the field down 29 with 3 minutes left? So that's your fault, Dolphins coaches. You deal with those consequences. You made the asshole decision to keep your star edge rusher out there in a meaningless game with 3 minutes left outdoors. I can't comprehend. And now you have to deal with those consequences. And if I was a Dolphins fan, I would be extremely angry at the idiocy of keeping him out there with 3 minutes left down 29 when you have the biggest game of the season coming up next. So deal with those consequences, Fish fans. Tua was 22 at 38 for 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Tyreek caught 6 for 76. 3 straight games he's caught for under 100 yards. So he's at 1,777 on this, 1,717 on the season. So his dreams of 2,000 will have to wait till next year. He did pass his career high. He established that last year, 1,710. Jalen Waddle missed the game with an ankle injury. He's listed as questionable for this week. They need him back badly. Braxton Berrios, River Craycraft, Chase Claypool. None of those guys are going to take any pressure off of Tyreek Hill. Raheem Mostert out with knee and ankle issues, pain. Devon A. Chan ran 14 times for 170 yards, caught 4 for 30. Waddle and Mostert are expected to be available for this one. Miami was 6 of 15 on third down. They're 9th in the league in third down offense, converting 42.2% of third down opportunities. They were 2 of 3 in the red zone. They're 4th in the league in red zone offense, scoring TDs on 64.9% of red zone drives. Remember, this was the best red zone offense in the league for most of the year. They've fallen off the last month. The defense was in shambles. Ravens put up 491 yards of offense, 4 of 7 on third down. Miami's third down defense ranked 11th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 37.3% of third down opportunities. They allowed Baltimore to go a perfect 5 for 5 in the red zone. This has been an Achilles heel for Miami all year. They're the 4th worst red zone defense in the NFL, allowing opponents to score touchdowns on 67.4% of the time. If you look at what the Bills are good at, what the Dolphins are good at, where is the huge advantage? Where's the glaring advantage? It's it's Buffalo's red zone offense against Miami's red zone defense. That's the biggest advantage in this entire game. The pass rush got no pressure on Lamar Jackson, and now there's no Bradley Chubb. They also lost Xavier Howard to a foot injury. He's not expected to play this week. Xavier Howard is not expected to be in the lineup. So I understand why the market's moving towards the Buffalo Bills. Are you going to join them here, Troy? Take it away. Our Sunday nighter, Bills Dolphins.
This is a game I usually wouldn't like. I wouldn't barely be able to wait to get my money down, but it's a primetime game. I like to have the fully developed market, so I'm still kind of waiting. But this line just cannot be ignored. The Bills -3 on the road in Miami. The injuries, the line movement, everything is suggesting that the Bills are the right side in this game. Except it's hard to justify the price. I still have this number a little bit shorter than where it's currently sitting. Maybe I'm not adjusting for the injuries enough. But at the same time, the biggest thing to me was the total in this game. Last game they played in Buffalo, the total opened at 54, got bet down to 52. It was actually more at 50-50 splits. It wasn't really heavy action on either side, but it went down to 52 and the total went flying over. Now we have the total set a little bit lower. It's at 50. It hasn't moved off the 50, but I think it's only one-way action from here. If you're betting for closing line value, I'd probably take the under 50 wherever you can get it. There's probably maybe something better in the market out there, but I would take the under now because it's definitely going to close, I think, under 48. I think the total's going to start tanking here. I don't think either of these offenses are high flying. And yes, the red zone defense has been a struggle for the Dolphins, but I don't think the Bills offense is just not connecting at that level. I just don't think that both teams are going to have just sustained success offensively. And it could be one of those games where we do see a lot of turnovers, 4 and out on the, in the red zone, on the goal line. I could see those situations coming alive. And I think I'd be on the under in this game more than anything at this point, because the 3 is a little bit too steep for me.
So do you feel that Miami Dolphins are capable of bouncing back in this situation, after that ugly loss on the road, not playing their best football, losing Bradley Chubb for the season when they shouldn't have had him out there? Do they have the skill set to bounce back against a Bills team that's, although it was an underwhelming victory against the Patriots, they've won 4 straight and they look ready to roll?
Yeah, but the wins over the past few weeks just haven't been very prominent wins. I mean, they've been sneaking by a little bit, in my opinion. Just something just doesn't seem right still with this Bills team. Even when they got that big win over Dallas, I mean, Josh Allen's numbers are glaring at this point. At one point in the season, I thought all the numbers were suggesting he's a top 5 quarterback. Now that's kind of regressed back significantly. I don't know if it's the play call changing or even when they beat the shit out of Dallas, it was James Cook rushing for 200+ yards on inside zones. I don't know what to make of it.
Opening up at -2.5, slightly juiced towards the Bills, moving to a 3. Now it is juiced to the Dolphins. Where does that lead you in your database for the road team to go from 2.5 to 3?
It would be a spot play on the home team, saying that the value is all in the +3. And I'm going to pull that up real quick because I was just looking at it and I clicked off onto the total. Wow. But yeah, so when a home team opens at +2.5 and they close at +3, there's only 7 examples. The home team is 3-1 ATS and 3-4 straight up. So that it lands on 3 quite a bit, 3 times. So I don't think that's why I'm thinking there's not that much of an edge. There's not much of an edge on the side in this game.
Wow, a surprise here, I guess. So do you think that you're going to be moving on this under shortly, or is this something you're going to sit on?
This is something I think I'm going to move on just because I want the CLV. I know I'm going to have action in this game, and I like the market environment for it. I think that the number's going one way.
Wow. I guess I'm going to sit with this because, I mean, it'd be really easy to sell the Dolphins low and back the Bills here just out of a recency bias, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to sit with this longer. Are you available Sunday night for the live stream?
Yeah. Yep. You can count me in.
That'd be dope. Last regular season game of the season. So, Troy, expected to move on this under. There's going to be a lot of live opportunities for us here in this one. I like it. Well, that is our show, week 18. And we want Troy to get to 50+ units in the regular season. Now he'll have to keep it there throughout the playoffs, but never been done. A guest on my show has never done that. I've never had a guest hit at 60% either. Dutch Boy Fresh last year in NBA is the closest, 59.6% against the spread. But no one's had the sample size that you've had here. So really excited watching you work the last few weeks, especially. You're up just under 30 units over the last 3 weeks, which is unbelievably impressive. And it's been a lot of fun watching it come to fruition, man. Building your database. It's been very, very enjoyable being a co-host with you. And you have led by example, 53.4%, ROI plus 12.82%, coming off a very strong week. Let's review all action here. Troy gets his card started with the Ravens plus 3.5. I'm on the under 37 in that one. And I'm very interested in the Ravens here. I'm just curious. I guess if it doesn't move off the 3.5, there's your signal that the Ravens are, likely going to cover this spot. So I'm going to just keep an eye on it. We're about 46 hours away from kickoff. Then next up for us, Troy's on the Texans minus 104. I guess I should bet that right now. Now Steichen scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, me too.
So I guess I wanted to talk it out, but.
And the RPO, he runs the best version of the RPO, in my opinion. Just the way the deception he uses with his offensive line is it's awesome. And it's really hard to bet against, but I think we have a good defense and a DeMarco-led defense that could do it.
And it's the second best third down defense in the league over the last 3 weeks. And 2 of those weeks, there was no CJ Stroud at quarterback, and the defense knew that. And they sure stepped up in a big, big way. Impressive. It's going to be a really fun Saturday night game here. Browns, Bengals, Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm interested in the under. I'm going to sit with it a little longer. Vikings, Lions, we have stayed off. Troy's on the Titans +5. I find that very appealing. I'm going to look at that this evening. Then the Patriots, I guess maybe they are too easy. I'm certainly not going to move it on tonight. I'm going to sit with all the information, especially the information from the cappers in the chat. Troy has a teaser with the Jets +9, the Bears +3. Then
No,
Troy's.
I said that wrong, by the way. It's the Bears +9 and the Jets +8.5.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Then we have the Troy leaning towards the Falcons. Bucks, Panthers, there has been no action for us. Very interesting market there. Troy's on the Bears +3. I'd like to join them. I'd like to join them there. I may do that this evening. Then Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today, also on the Titans +5.5. Broncos, Raiders, no action for us at this point either with the Eagles, Giants, although, the 6 to the 5 for the Giants, very telling. I doubled up on that Seahawks, Cardinals, first half full game over. I just went right back to the well. Just right back to the well. I hammered that Cardinals, Eagles over. I'm not an over better generally, but once you see it, you got to pounce. I guess the Chargers -3 is just the bet that needs to be made. I guess I just need to bet it this evening, even though I don't want to. Then Birdie liking the under in Rams, Niners. Troy interested in it. I'm going to keep an eye on it. Cowboys, Commanders, no action for us at this point. Troy expected to bet the under in Bills, Dolphins here before the night ends. And that is our show for today. Thank you guys so much for all of you in the chat. You've brought so much to the show. I'm really excited about, where we're going with Bankroll Blitz. Very, very excited. And we have nothing without you guys. So Al Cervic, Gerald Jones, Slatsy, Mac Beavers, Blue Numbers, Dan Kelly, Harold Williams. Thank you guys. Tacky JP, Nick. Truly, truly thank you guys for your support. Friendly Foreigner, Turnsy, Jared TG. Thank you guys for all that you brought to the show. Birdie, Spenny. Spenny, have a great time at the game in Foxborough. That's going to be so cool in the snow. How magic is that? Ron Crawford, all of you guys. Dan Kelly, thank you guys. And now that's 18 weeks of hard work. God damn, it's so hard. And now it gets a little easier and a little more fun. We have a big thing coming up here that we're going to be pitching all week and all next week. We have a playoff pool at Pub Sports Radio. It is our NFL playoff confidence pool, $50 entry. It's going to be up on the site probably in the afternoon tomorrow. Basically, there are 13 playoff games that we are about to watch when the playoffs start. And it's pretty simple. The picks have to be in by Friday at midnight, and you have 13 slots. Your 13 is your most confident spot. You get 13 points for it. Your least confident spot is the one spot. You can only use each spot once. And that's it. And we'll see everybody's picks Friday night at midnight. They have to be in. And we'll see who everybody's on. So you get 13 different slots to pick. And, can't use the same slot twice. And again, 13 your most confident, 1 your least confident. It's just win. It's not spread. It's just outright win. And $50 a pop. So we're going to be talking about the confidence pool throughout. And this is our first time running the confidence pool. We're excited about it. So hope that we get as many people signing up as possible. Troy, my man, the goal is 50. 50. We need you to get there. We need you to get there. I need you to get there.
Week 18 makes me a little bit nervous. Week 18 makes me a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie, especially with how drastic this line movement is. It's just making me a little uneasy on a Tuesday.
Yeah, no, and it should. And in all honesty, we really only need to get there by the end of the year. So, but it would be nice to get there at the end of the regular season. It's still impressive what you've done.
Oh, I'm confident, man. I can't wait for the playoffs. And those spots I really like to hammer. So, I don't know if I'm going to have a hammer spot this year, actually. Like, I had a few drawn out last year that I was just waiting for, and they came to fruition. I don't really have that this year, but I see a few advantages that I'd like to take advantage of. Hey, dude, thank you for working with me today. I'm a little bit under the weather. I'm a little bit out of it. I'm extremely tired, and thank you to everybody in the chat. With all the love and the blessings and the good jobs, and it's good to see that. It's good to get some encouragement, and I appreciate it.
Well, I wonder if we should do a live stream on Saturday night too for Texans Colts. I wonder, because there's no UFC on Saturday, I don't think. So maybe we should add that into all of it as well. Troy, you're the man. Let's get that cash. Thank you, all of you who support the show, and huge thank you to Jose Bouquet, who works tirelessly behind the scenes. Jose, I know you're going to be up late cutting up these videos, and just know that we thank you so much for making us look good and cutting up these videos and being the backbone of the channel. On that, we move on. Let's get this cash in week 18. I need to get this record looking a little bit more pleasing. Thank God for Troy. God, thank God that record's up there, Troy. Fuck. Last year I had a great season. This year I wasn't able to follow it up. Makes me want to smash something, but there's still time. There's still time. You guys, thank you. Let's go out there and get that cash. Week 18 awaits. Join our confidence pool. But most importantly, let's keep eating. Let's have a giant week. Leche.